So you down for whatever?
Whatever.
So I'ma see you tonight.
Whatever.
Thoughts become things become thoughts, ayy. Rising like cream, straight to the top. Quit a job, now she's selling a box. Said the jab is in her Orwellian plot. Ask if I believe in theories about conspiracies, connecting all the dots that she sees with more legs than a centipede. Thought it was interesting for someone who's on cams getting naked to have concerns about some massive aliens, as if her actions wouldn't make her famous. She said it's just a play, a chance she taking. Ain't throwing shade, just an observation. But anyways, what we doing? I ain't in a quadrilateral congruence, throwing laterals the wrong way to move it. Don't know about your town, but on my ground you gotta prove it, or they call you off a wolf and looking stupid. Cute as Stacey Dash, man, but she clueless. Really moving wrong, trying to clear up their confusion. She need Jesus or confusion, or just me as the solution. Thoughts become things become thoughts. Ayy, rising like cream.
What up, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up? Hope everyone is doing well tonight. I'll be ready in just a moment. I'm gonna let this play real quick. I'll be right with y'all.
Ain't no love in it, it's only some licks. Better learn from a bundle of Brit. The culture laugh, the courts simply incentivize it. Brilliant business plan, you enterprise it. Just had his child to be set for life, and she used the womb for the ultra hype. To live the life of a socialite. These just my thoughts on an open mic. To good men, you should be more polite. I ain't one, but I can sympathize. Cause I hate when people ruin people with them cruel intentions, and that's truly evil. And I'll probably mention that I'm a dog cause I refuse to get got. Don't be a deer in headlights in the fog, you better study the plot. Thoughts become things become thoughts. Ayy, rising like cream, straight to the top. Whoa, why do we love hoes? Why do we love? Ayy, thoughts become things become thoughts. Ayy, rising like cream, straight to the top. Oh, why do we love hoes? Why do we love?
What up, everybody? How y'all doing tonight? I know it's late some places, not too late in others, but I just wanted to really, because I'm a little late to getting on this app, answer the question definitively: is this app Sampletron worth getting? I know there's a lot of controversy about it costing $69.99 on iPad only, which in some people's minds is a little crazy. It's like, why is this app so expensive when we're used to the $10, $15, $20 variants? You know, a $30 app is really expensive, such as something like the SEONN stuff. So is the IK Multimedia port worth the very high price of admission for an iOS user? And first of all, according to their video, it's doing a lot more than simply playing back samples. I think that's the thing that really confuses a lot of people when they think about this app. Is it just playing back samples? If it's just basically a Rompler, why am I spending so much for 2.5 gigs of samples? But the reality of it is, according to the video, it's doing a lot more than that. It's actually got real tape emulation going on, and I've been playing with this app a little bit, and I'm really, really impressed. But it's one of these kind of apps you got to understand. It has a very certain sound to it, and it's not going to be for everyone, obviously. But I believe the people who really need this type of sound in their production are really going to appreciate it. And the organ app that they did, I think the Hammond one, I really didn't need an organ with that level of sophistication, but I went ahead and got it because I wanted to support IK giving us that desktop class port on iOS. I wanted to see more of that. So I said, you know what, let me put my money where my mouth is. I'm going to go ahead and grab that app, even though I'm not really going to use it too much. Real quick, let me look at the live chat here. We got Mean Gene says, here we go. CLW Studio says, wow, I was just debating if I wanted to buy it. Jeremy Meadow says, can't wait to see if this is worth it or not. Juan Payan says, yo, it's over 200 on desktop. That is a fact. Ben Jemisin's Burr says, AA, I got it, but I don't get it. Damien says, 70 is the sale price. What will the regular price be? Well, Damien, if history is any indicator, we could expect this to go up to $100 or even $129.99. I would not be surprised if this app got up to $129.99. So if you ever wanted to get it, $70 is probably going to be on the cheaper side. I don't know if Black Friday will bring it down to like 40 or 50. That's definitely possible. But the reality is, if you want the app, you should definitely get it sooner than later. And you really can't be mad if on Black Friday it is cheaper than you got it for. It's just how it goes sometimes with this kind of stuff. But anyways, looking at the app, there is a lot going on. And I haven't even really gotten to the app to really unpack it fully, but I've just briefly gone through the presets. So what I could do is I can go through the presets in the standalone version for y'all, or I can do it within a DAW, which is a more realistic workflow for myself. But I know you guys might want the display on the full screen. So y'all let me know in the chat how you want me to go through these presets, and let's talk about it. Let's go through the presets a little bit. Let's go through some of the features. I've not read the manual, any of that. I just want to see, is this app intuitive? What do y'all think of the sounds of the instruments, the presets that are on here? Let's really unpack this, answer any questions y'all might have, because it is a big purchasing decision. So yeah, let me know real quick in the chat if y'all want me to do it within the DAW, or if you guys want me to run this standalone. Damien says, does it have all of the sample tank stuff on it? I don't know what you mean when you say sample tank stuff specifically, but this has all of the Sampletron version 1 sounds. I believe they brought those over into this app as well, if that's what you mean. As far as sample tank stuff, I don't know about that. And I don't know their plans for bringing Sample Tank onto iOS as an AUV3. Okay, Jeremy says use it as use it in a DAW. All right, everyone's saying DAW as an AUV3. All right, that's what we're gonna do then. All right, so to start it off, let's see. We've got kind of like a typical Mellotron sound, and at the top here you can see we've got the tape effects button. You can add noise. So definitely got a tape machine built into this. And Benjamin's absolutely right. He says it's got a lot of the mixbox effects. It definitely does. I read that in the description. There's a lot of the mixbox effects built into this. So you know you're going to get a warm sound out of this app. Let's see. So you've got all these different samples here. You know what? Let me get my keyboard out so that I can actually point to stuff and y'all can see me pointing. All right, so I got my pointer out now, and yeah, you can see here you've got all the different, you got up to 3 sounds, and you can choose how you want to mix them. So yeah, there's that. Let's see, let's go to the next sound here. Now I'm just playing random stuff. I'm not really looking to make a beat with it just yet. I just want y'all to get an idea of what's here. That's got a cool vibe to it. Okay, the mix button uses all three, according to Benjamin. Definitely. So this is A, and then this is B. So one's basically panned to the left, one's panned to the right, and then here's C. Okay, Damien says the description says it combines the sound engine of IK sample take with all of the tape modeling. So yeah, basically I could see it doing that, but I don't think we're getting the sample tank sounds in this. We're just getting the engine that's driving the sound, the same technology basically. Let's see. In full disclosure, let me give y'all my thoughts on the sound. I know it's not for everybody, but I really like the dark kind of, I don't know, it kind of sounds crazy in a way. And I think for like trap music, it's going to be really, really useful. Music that's really not clean, that's got some grit to it. I think it's going to be a really useful AEV3. Beautiful cello. So that's the bass of a trap beat right there. You know, so a lot of character in the sounds. Did we get a crash? We might have got a crash. Let's see. All right, let's go back to Sampletron. All right. I got a lot going on this iPad, so it crashing could be the AEV3. It also could be that there's a lot going on this iPad right now, hosting a live stream and all that. So like for instance, if y'all are a fan of the rapper DaBaby's music and that song Bop and all that more fluty trap sound, I think this is a great AEV3 for those type of sounds for sure. That's creepy haunted house piano. Let's see. Electric piano on tape. And mind you, I am like doing nothing to these presets. So if we were to go into, you know, the tape, add some noise. Oh, some flutter. Change the attack. So, a lot of vibe you can get. Again, I don't think for the more traditional I want my electric piano to sound like the most high quality, rich electric piano, this is necessarily going to be the app for you. But if you want something that just sounds kind of like epic and crazy, really like have people saying, where did you get that sound from? How did you do that to that sound? How did you modulate that sound? I think this app has a lot of that for sure. Let's see. For sure, you can make lo-fi with this, no doubt. Oh, what? That's dope to me. I like how that sounds. That is the foundation of a trap beat, in my opinion. Just that right there, 3 notes, and with any other AUV3 I could think of on iOS, I don't know how I would generate this sound. This would sound like a sample you're pulling from somewhere on the internet to me. So I think that's pretty cool. Let's see. This could definitely fit into a full composition. I could hear this kind of hovering somewhere in the background, giving just adding that little bit of that cinematic energy. Let's see. I really like this app already for the flutes. The flute section alone, I think if you're any good with playing that flute style, these samples are really going to take your productions over the top. Definitely, it sounds big. Let me say that. It sounds big. Everything on here sounds really, really big. And just to think these are kind of, I don't want to say dry because I know there's built-in effects on here, but if you were to put your own effects, your favorite effects over the top of those, where you could take this, I mean, there's really no telling. So yeah. Again, it's this, and the sounds have character. I like that a lot. Gospel organ, I ain't gonna do that to y'all ears. Yeah, Benjamin says the swan flutes are better, but if you want the effect, sure. I mean, to me, the swan flutes are definitely pure, but for like a trap beat or something where I want it to sound kind of like evil, gritty, you know, something where it sounds kind of messy, I definitely, like you're saying with the effects, I like the effects in Sampletron and just some of the character that their sounds have. It's even making like certain, I don't know, would-be cheap sounding sounds sound way bigger than they have any business sounding like. Like it almost can take like a cheap Casio kids piano and kind of make it sound like it's got some character. Juan says, go through the sound categories. Okay, is there a page for the category specifically? If you see a page for the category specifically, I will go through the category pages. Let's see. Probably in the individual slots. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Brass. Hold on, how do I start from scratch then? Okay, there it is, mix. Okay, there's effects on here, so this is kind of tricky. There's no initialized patch, I don't think, where it's just all the way from scratch, so I'm still dealing with the effects. Let me see. All right, the effects don't seem too crazy on that. Let's see. Okay, let me see what effects are on here and why is it panning? Pan, there we go. Let's get it to the center. There we go. Got it. And okay. And brass pop modern. Okay, now we're into, hold on. Are we done with the horns? Okay, I had more than one category selected. That's pretty cool. All right, I'm gonna move on to cinematic. All right, let's go to guitar. All right, what categories do y'all want me to hit up next on here? Let me try the loop ones. All right, I definitely don't want to play the organs. I'm gonna try the piano. Strings and bass. All right, let's check out strings. Let's see. Yeah, so the strings definitely, when you hear them as is, like just the raw string, I'm not crazy about it, but when you hear the presets that they made, I really like this app for their specific presets, not their, I don't know, just loose sounds that they have here. I'm not crazy about the stuff, the picking out the sounds individually. I like really when they're in these these like combi categories here, because I really think they've done a good job of picking out what they think is the best way to go about playing the app. I like their presets. I'll just say it like that. Let's see. SEONN is in the building. What up, bro? How you doing? Brandon Rico's in the building. What up, bro? How you feeling? How are you liking that iPad mini? I see the studio setup looking nice. iPads everywhere, laptops everywhere. I mean, it must be nice. I mean, honestly, so far, this is the closest thing. It's going to sound kind of blasphemous for me to say it, but it's the closest thing I feel like we got to something like Omnisphere on iPad as I'm going through the Sampletron, the presets that they built. I think a lot of the sounds got character, are unique, just like you would get in something like an Omnisphere. Obviously, the library sizes are super different, so you're talking about one's probably like 30 gigs, this one's 2.5 gigs, but to get that character on iOS, there's not too many apps that are going to do that for you. Let's see. CS says, I don't know. I'm kind of stuck on Chord Module and Pearson Platinum. Yeah, those are great apps for sure. But something about what they've added with these tape effects and the mix box effects being built in, you get some really nice presets straight in the box with what Sampletron's been able to do. And then you can add your own samples to it as well and really kind of see how their engine can, modulate your samples that you pull from different sample websites and all that kind of stuff. Brandon says he's great. The Mini is dope so far. Glad to hear it. I guess we don't need them to bring Beatmaker 3 to the iPhone. Just get the Mini and you got it right there. And Benjamin says that's a big reach. I mean, seriously, I think Omnisphere is loved for the character of the sounds and how there's just something unique about them. And I think that's what we're getting here. But different library sizes. If they could make the library half as big as Omnisphere, I'd be impressed. But let me say this. I've never heard a natural sounding sound out of Omnisphere. Everything sounds warped, crazy, different. I guess if you get to the loose samples going deeper into the app, you can get the that natural sound. But really, people a lot of times go to Omnisphere for the uniqueness of how it sounds. And that's kind of what you're getting with this. Brennan says $70 though is giving real desktop, it's giving real budget desktop vibes. Yeah, it definitely is. It definitely is. But I think we're saving 2 to 3 to maybe almost 4 times compared to what a desktop user would pay. So there is that. I don't know. I think it's kind of dope. I'm glad they're bringing it over. If I got to pick between them choosing to charge $70 and us having it versus them saying, you know what, they're never going to buy it anyway, we're not going to bother to bring it over, I guess I'm going with the $70 on that one. And I really hope that it opens the door for, say, a Spectrasonics and these other companies to come in and say, you know what, IK Multimedia is doing it. They're bringing their desktop class stuff to iPad and it's getting fanfare and people are supporting them. So you know what, let's go ahead and devote some resources to bring in our desktop apps to iOS. Let's bring over this, let's bring over that. I think IK Multimedia opening the door, setting the trend, and us supporting it could be good overall for the culture of iOS. SEONN says the iPad mini is super tempting. Being able to connect my MIDI controller directly to my iPad without needing a power supply seems so cool. It definitely is. If you get an opportunity, please do yourself a favor and grab a USB-C iOS device. It really makes the whole situation a lot better. Like a lot better. Benjamin says, I would love it if they make more intuitive to load my own sounds. With this selection, voice sample names must be formatted with the note names first. If any additional text is included, it must be separated by a space. For example, C1. Okay, so basically theirs does it backwards. Usually you would get like piano C3. This one wants the note first. Okay, and that's to select it from a root note. And ascending chromatically. I will go into importing the samples and probably a dedicated video. I don't want to waste y'all time trying to figure that out on a stream. And SEONN says, oh, I'm glad they brought it. If they market it so that it works on an M1 Mac, then it'll increase the perceived value. Are you meaning that if you buy it on iPad, you're going to get it free on an M1 Mac? Because they do have a Mac version, but is that what you're saying? You're saying that you get if you buy it on iPad, you'll get it for free on Mac? Is that what you mean for the M1s? And Brandon Rico says, for sure, I could see Spectrasonics and Native Instruments wanting in on some of that iOS money. I would love that, right? It seemed like Native Instruments, they dipped their toe when they did the Machine, iMachine 2 or whatever. It seemed like it was really going to make it happen. And then they just were like, nah, we're good. Shot right back up out of there. Came out with the Machine, Machine Plus, and basically left us in the dust. But yeah, I definitely want Native Instruments to come through, Spectrasonics to come through. We need all these developers to support iOS. But I think we got to prove that the market is there for them to invest the resources. And sometimes that means spending that $130 on that Hammond organ app, you know what I'm saying? And spending the 80 or whatever it is on Mixbox and spending the 70 on Sampletron. And I mean, don't just do it because of that. Also do it because you want the app and enjoy it. But I think it takes all those elements. Benjamin says, I'll buy their Moto bass and Moto drums if IK Multimedia would drop it. Okay, well, tell me how much you would pay for that. That's what I want to know. How much would you pay for those apps on iOS? Damien says, yes, USB-C on M1 iPad has changed everything for me using it live at, I'm guessing you're saying shows right there. Yeah, for sure. The USB-C, it's not even close. It's a game changer. SEONN says, yeah, that's what I mean. I don't think they'll do that because they already got this on desktop and they're charging $200-$300 for it, I believe, and it's probably doing fine over there. So I don't think there's any way they would then give a license for an iPad user to a Mac user, you know, for free. I just don't see that happening. But, you know, it's kind of like they already got their market over there and it's working. We're kind of just getting lucky that they bringing the stuff over to iOS. Damien says Swam is getting its money too. Definitely. I like the price difference we get on iOS with the Swam stuff. I ain't gonna lie. SEONN says, I'll be okay with paying more for an iPad or an iOS app if it works well for a Mac. Yeah, you're not gonna get too much of that unless it's like, I don't know, maybe Drambo, stuff like that, more independent ones. Usually they keep it separate on purpose, like FabFilter and stuff wants to keep it separate, I believe. Brandon Rico says, I hated the Mac Akai apps. What's going on with the Kai? For the people who really trailblazed this whole entire workflow, I don't understand how they let the machine happen. And it seems like they've been playing catch up ever since. Like they still really haven't figured out what their users really want. Benjamin says, Yamaha needs to get in this mix, make an app and bring them pianos. Yeah, that's crazy because they had the mixer, which was the white mixer they did, which was more iOS centric. And they even did the app where you could plug it in at Guitar Center to the piano and it'll unlock it or whatever. But now it's like they're non-existent on iOS. SEONN says currently there's FM Essentials by Yamaha as a free AUV app. I took the trip a while back to get the full unlock. Yep, that's what I'm talking about. Brandon Rico says, Akai just put a bad taste in my mouth overall. I've completely migrated and converted to Arturia everything. Ooh. Well, that's the best way to vote is with your wallet. I came up on Akai. So to me, it's crazy to see their fall from grace. It's been nothing short of spectacular. It's like they can't let go of the vintage look. They just confused. Machine's integration and Native Instruments did it so right with the I think it's the NKS format. I mean, it's crazy how Akai let that happen. Benjamin says Swam is amazing for the price. Definitely is amazing for the price. I wish we had ensembles with Swam though. I'm not the biggest fan of the single instrument. SEONN says agreed. I get that they wouldn't. The Mac and the iOS are separate markets, that it wouldn't make sense to merge them yet. Definitely. The only way the merge is going to happen, I think, is we pay desktop prices. Like, you know, the Mac users are going to pay their prices, but they're just going to say, you know what, you want a license to work in both platforms? Cool. We'll charge both y'all $300 instead of an iPad person $70 and a desktop person $300 or whatever. Damien says, app pricing is what makes me love iOS music making, and the form factor on stage is just much better than a Mac or MacBook. That is a fact. I called myself trying to use a MacBook the other day, and I kept touching the screen, swiping, and nothing was happening. It was like, oh, this is ugly. I need to get back on the iPad. And Brandon Rico, if you're still in the building, I need some beats, bro. What's good? SEONN says, funny enough, my first controller was an Akai MPK Mini. I switched to Novation Launch Key and Arturia as well. Picked up the Keylab Essentials earlier this year on sale. Yeah, my first Akai was the MPC 2500, I want to say. Way back. Brandon Rico says, I agree. Anything over $50 on iOS makes me cringe. That and monthly subscriptions. Yeah, it's ugly. Benjamin says, I use a Swan trumpet and tenor sax on that Koala Beatcast Flip Challenge I sent you. And Damien says, the iPad is the most musical computing device in my honest opinion. Yeah, definitely. For just having everything all in one where you don't need, like Desert Island, don't need anything else. An iPad fully loaded will get you there, because everything else is going to require either clicking to death to build a piano roll in the MIDI, or you're going to have to connect all these controllers and stuff. Like controllers with iOS is just a luxury. If that's how you want to rock, you can rock like that, but you don't have to have a controller with iOS. That's what I love about it. Benjamin says, FabFilter was $100 and I didn't hesitate. SEONN asked, does anyone here use their iPhone for music production? That's a great question. Does anyone use their iPhone for music production? If so, is it just for beats? Are you doing a full song on it? Benjamin says, monthly subscriptions are awful. Brennan says, during the pandemic, I bought the Keylab Mark II and never looked back. Made a whole vlog about it. I think I seen that, but I gotta go back and look at it to make sure. But I think I watched that one. Says that's just how frustrated I was with the Kai. Yeah, I long ago left the Kai. I think I tried a couple of their controllers, and coming from the machine, it just was like, what is this junk? It's just, this ain't gonna work. So I've not tried all the super new Akai stuff that they were coming with. It just all seemed crazy. But yeah, I left Akai many years ago because the stuff just didn't seem like they understood where they wanted to go. Damien says, I spent over $200 on a single guitar effect. $50 for an app is nothing. Benjamin says he does use his phone. He said he made a full song on Koala on his phone. Brandon Rico says, I use my phone all the time. Actually made 4K from Beats on an iPhone last year. Whoo. See, I need some of them Beats, but I can't afford you, man. You're too expensive. Benjamin says, if you have a Bluetooth keyboard, the phone isn't bad. That's a fact. If you got a Bluetooth keyboard, you're good with the phone, fully. Even Nano Studio 2 on the phone is really good because the way the piano roll and just everything makes sense. It's probably the best app on the phone that I've used. SEONN says, Koala replaced the need for Beatmaker 3 for me on the iPhone. That's nice. How has it replaced Beatmaker 3 from you? I'm just curious. Is it the fact that the pad layout? What about it made it be able to replace Beatmaker 3? Because that's a tall order. Beatmaker 3 is a really deep app. Brandon Rico got money bags out here. Benjamin says Brandon Rico balling on a phone for real. And Sion says there aren't many Bluetooth MIDI keyboards. Well, listen, the CME X Key Air, period. Like I ain't like nothing else. That period. Rolly's cool, but I don't know about them. They're a little shaky, shifty out here. Their stuff, results may vary. I know Brandon Rico had the pre-release, had some issues. Then he got the new one. I think he said he liked that one a lot better. But to me, the X Key Air is just, man, you can disrespect it and it's still gonna stand up and be just fine. That's the best Bluetooth keyboard controller in my opinion. Brennan says, nah, that's a whole stretch for me. Beatmaker 3 is a whole synth designer. Yep. And Sion says, well, it was mainly the pad layout, improved sampler, and now the AUV3 feature. Okay. Benjamin says, Koala can get you there with AUM. I guess it all depends on the genre of music you're making. And where there's a will, there's a way. I just think for people conditioned for like drum machine workflows, there's nothing like Beatmaker 3 still. I wish it had other things that were a little bit smoother because Beatmaker 3 is nice. It's got a lot of nice stuff going on with it. Sion says, what about Bluetooth options for drum pads? That's a good question. Maybe Brandon Rico can chime in on that. Mobile Music Pros in the building. What up, bro? How you feeling? Brandon Rico says, X Key is tried and true. B Rico stamp of approval 100. Yeah, Bluetooth MIDI keyboard controller, X Key Air. I don't care if it's the 25, 37, whatever you feel like. 25, really, I like the best because it fit in the backpack really smooth. And I see you like to do a lot of videos outdoors, Sion. So X Key Air, period, till the wheels fall off. That thing have been abused, slammed, jumped. It ain't never broke, never had an issue. Every other little keyboard, keys pop out, stuff like that, it gets interesting. Sion says, that's true. Talking about the workflows with drum machines, I found Koala intuitive for Afro beats. I never grew up with drum machines. You're right. Brandon Rico, how could I forget? Sensomorph for pads, period. Yeah, Sensomorph for pads. That's it right there. You get the Sensomorph, you're good in so many areas. Honestly, in a pinch, I'll use the Sensomorph for the pads and those little trident gum size keys on it. I can build something just with that one overlay is more than enough. So the Sensomorph for sure. How could I forget about the Sensomorph? Benjamin says, X Key Air is my thing. Mobile Music Pro says, love me some X Key, best portable keyboard in my opinion. Brandon Rico with an exclusive over here talking about Artesia Pro, which is the company who makes X Key Air for anyone who don't know. He says he's working on a few new things that he really can't speak on. Listen, I'm not going to tell him you told us. Benjamin Sisberf says, tonality is my workaround with the keyboard, without a keyboard. Sion says, I thought you would have said Roly blocks. Not even close. Not even close. See, the problem with the Roly blocks, bro, is there's a lot of questionable aspects to it. They don't. They're not as customizable as the Sensomorph. Like the Sensomorph is so customizable, you can make it work in any DAW workflow, period. The Roly blocks are also really, like, you got to baby them. You know, they're really sensitive. So I definitely would go with the Sensomorph over everything, really, honestly. And Roly, I don't know if they're even going to develop the Roly blocks any further. That's another thing I worry about with them. Mobile Music Pro, I would like your thoughts. We got a $70 app here, Sampletron. Is it worth $69.99? In your opinion, has IK priced this app correctly, or is it a touch too high for an iOS user? And Brandon Rico says, nah, Roly is really funny acting these days. Laugh out loud. I don't think they like me anymore. I publicly told too many truths about my experiences. Yeah. You know what's funny is there was people at the very beginning of the Roly experience who were doing that, like probably years ago when they first came out with the LightPad, probably before the LightPad M even came out. And Roly would try to do everything to make it right. They'd send them another, updated version, take the feedback into consideration, make it all better, try to, really get their PR on. And I guess now maybe they got too big, or they're under different management or ownership or something. I don't know, but that's crazy that they would shade you like that. SEONN says, yeah, I heard Roly got bought by another company. Okay, yeah, that would explain it possibly then. Different kind of energy all the way around. And Mobile Music Pro says, yeah, companies rarely like it when you tell the truth. Responding to Brandon Rico. And Mobile Music Pro responding to me says, really, in my opinion, for what you get, this is just about the right price. Maybe $49.99 would have shocked less people, but at the end of the day, IK Multimedia has to support an army of devs. The app prices will have to increase if we want to have more desktop quality apps. This is a fact. This is pretty much how I feel about the whole situation. If we want the desktop class stuff, we're going to have to be willing, if we're taking ourselves serious, our production serious, we're going to have to be willing to spend the desktop class money. UAD plugins, super expensive. Waves plugins used to be super expensive. Spectrasonic stuff, very expensive. So these developers got to make a living because it's such a niche market. And then on top of that, Apple's charging their piece on top of it to the developers. And Brandon Rico says, I really like Roly in concept. They could have really killed the game, but never really delivered. And customer service sucks these days. Yeah, it's a fact. I found myself trying to find all these I think it's Lightfoot scripts or something like that to make the Roly blocks, the light pads, more intuitive. I was hollering at the Swanic or something like that, and all the different apps they made for it, trying to see what other devs were coming with stuff. But Roly never really took it to the next level like they were supposed to, unfortunately. It really could have been a great product. I just would not buy into them knowing what I know today. When people are like, should I buy the LightPad? That thing looks really cool. I'm like, nah, it's one of those. If you already got it, cool, use it. But if you talking about buying it today, go with the Sensomorph. They're way more enthusiastic, way better energy. Really are trying to listen to what you got to say. It's super modular. Different workflows are possible. You could use it as a video editor. With that overlay. You can build your own overlays. There's a video game overlay. There's so many different overlays to be creative. It's crazy. SEONN says they probably should have gone the in-app purchase route, maybe $20, $30 a base model and packs for additional sounds. I'll be honest with you. I'm glad they didn't do that, and I'll tell you why. For people who have a family plan, and they say got their little cousin on their family plan, and he or she likes to do music, those in-app purchases stop people like the family from sharing them. You know what I'm saying? Usually it's just the outright app that gets shared, not the in-app purchases. So with something like this, say you wanted to share with your little brother, cousin, sister, whatever, you would be able to have them on your family plan and they would get the app for free also, which would be pretty dope. So when you buy a $70 license, you're able to share this with 5 different people if you have them on your family plan at least. And then you can also download it to as many iOS devices as you have, which in my case is a few. I know Brandon Rico is a few, probably Mobile Music Pro is a few. So the value is crazy. Whereas like on desktop, there's a lot of limitations. Like you might get to license it on 1 or 2 computers in certain instances. And then don't get me started on iLocks and all that other stuff you have to do on desktop sometimes. Mo Music Pro says if music producers want to be taken seriously, then we can't be upset about $49.99 app prices. Ben Jeminson's burst says they could have sold the instruments without the effects. That's the beauty of this app, is the effects were there to really give it this unique character. So the instrument as a whole was designed to be taken as one solid thing, not just the sounds that, it's like one of those the sum is greater than the part kind of things. You know what I mean? The total sum, however they say that saying. Mo Music Pro says we can't say we're just as good as desktop and then refuse to pay more than $10 for an app. Ben Jemison's burst says, if you got Mixbox, why do I need to buy it again? Again, I think this is more than just buying the Mixbox effects. I think the inspiration from the presets that they put together with that you can't really do with just dry samples that you really get with this instrument is pretty dope. It's like a whole machine with its own sound. Mixbox owners need that discount. Brandon Rico says, I like what Rolly and UVI are doing with their in-app purchases. They let you pick and choose your pack over time instead of diving in at 50 and 70. In that situation, I definitely like what UVI is doing, because to me, UVI could have also, in my opinion, came out with straight AUV3s. They could have came out with like 10 different AUV3s at like $5 and $10 a piece to represent each pack. I kind of don't like going through BeatHawk for their in-app purchases. That workflow is crazy to me. And then I've had times where the AUV3 recall gets lost, and then I've got to go try to remember what that sound was. It's just, yeah, BeatHawk, me and BeatHawk don't have the best relationship, but I get what you're saying. I wish the Rolly noise app was still getting updated too. Damien says, this seems like Mixbox with a couple gigs of samples added. Yeah, you probably would have a point with that. I think there's more to it than that. I feel like there's more to it than just the samples itself. I like the tape. Maybe it's because of the interface I'm listening to the sounds through directly. I hear a lot of character in these sounds that I've really only heard with desktop class stuff. And so when I listen to it through my D to A converter, I'm just like, whoa, these sounds are they're right. You can get a professional sound out of them. Mo Music Pro says, interesting, I never knew that in-app purchases didn't get shared. I think in recent history, they made it to where a developer can choose to share the in-app purchases, but it's just not a foregone conclusion that they're going to get shared, unfortunately. Sion says, I never noticed. Usually what I did in the case of the core gaps was buy their standalone, which unlocked them on Gadget 2. Brandon says, yeah, but are we talking shareable or actually professional soundscapes we want to use for the asking price? Listen, you call in right now. I'll post the link, and whoever want to hop on can hop on. I ain't got to be the only one talking on here. Hold on real quick. Where's the thing to post the link? Connect this real quick. Let me see. Invite. Hold on real quick. I'm going to drop the link in the chat. Let me see. All right, there's the link. Y'all can hop on. Whoever want to hop on. And we ain't got to type and talk. We can just talk. What up, Russ? How you feeling, bro? All right, Benjamin's in the building.
What's up? What's up? Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I cannot hear you.
Weird. So let me see. Can you hear me now? You still can't hear me?
We're going through some technical difficulties right now. Bear with us. I can't hear you, Benjamin.
That's weird. Let me switch over.
Brandon says, I was definitely thinking more of a live chat. Trying to put my son to sleep at the moment. Oh, I respect it totally. No pressure. Mobile Music Pro says trying to do it through my phone. Yeah, you should be able to click it straight on your phone and it should work fine. We can hear Ben. All right, so it's just me then. I went through this before. How did I fix it? What up, Jersey Boy? What up, Jersey Boy Beats?
Nah.
All right, I hear you, Benjamin. I had to turn it up on the mixer. I'm getting lost in all this. They taught me how to set it up right, but I ain't got it right. But I can hear you now.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I'm with paying the price, but you gotta put it and make sure that we have exactly what we need for it and that is worthy. Because there's a lot of apps that's just like a bunch of presets that are unusable, or you can't even like put your own sounds in a way that makes it worthy, at least if you don't like any of the presets.
Okay, but you feel they're unusable for what genre of music?
Well, see, that's the thing. It shouldn't be limited to one genre.
No, I'm not saying it's limited to one genre. I'm saying what genre of music do you feel like you're unable to make with the presets that it includes?
Well, I'm not going to make jazz music with that. I'm not going to.
I would agree with that.
You probably could make some lo-fi.
Definitely.
Like I said, you might be able to make some trap.
Definitely.
But when you make an app that you're charging $70 for, and that's the entry price, it should be usable in all genres of music. That's why I say like moto bass, moto drums, those are usable.
Are you familiar with like Nexus on the desktop?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you feel like that's usable for every type of music, or that is much more centered around certain music genres?
No, I think it's centered around it. I think it's worthy though to get though, because if you're in the pop, R&B, hip hop kind of field, even dance, EDM, obviously, that app is usable. Whereas and that's the most, and then most people do produce in that. But when you make an app like that's basically a copy of a Mellotron, and it's like, okay, you know it's going to be limited, but then you say, all right, I'm going to open it up where you can bring your own samples in. I need to make sure that it's intuitive where I can actually put the samples in and use it. And it's not, it's a lot of work to use that app for $70. They didn't even make it easy for you.
Okay, let me go through here and try to bring a sample in real quick and see just how complicated this process is.
Yeah,
Did
it's
you
something else.
he said it's something else. All right, I'm gonna look on
Being
here.
honest.
The viewers can't see me trying to do it real quick, but I'm just trying to bring in a sample just to see what happens.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep, I can hear
I
you.
don't think so.
We got Vortex on. We got SEONN
Oh, wow.
on.
Okay,
What up,
okay.
bro?
What's up, Vortex?
Hold on.
How's it going?
Hold on. Let me do a
Hey,
What's
everyone.
happening?
Hey,
do a
son.
We got
four-way
SEONN
split.
got a
John,
movie down here.
what's up?
Others left is Brandon.
Need Rico.
Yep.
Is there a way where you can see
Yep.
everybody? I only
Yep,
see like one person.
I'm setting it up right now.
Well,
Oh, okay.
I got my camera turned off, FYI, because it's like late at night here, so I'm not looking
How
at
late
that.
are we talking about? Like midnight?
It's like 8 o'clock here, I guess.
Okay, not too bad. At least you can still go out and grab dinner or something.
Okay, is there
I
an
agree
echo
with Ben.
still on y'all, or I just want to make sure?
It was. I don't hear it right now.
Okay.
But
Yeah, I'm
Ben,
still-
I like what you were saying about the difficulty of all of the modeling that
Right.
that they're bringing over, because that is just a huge amount of work to actually bring that to iPad, like to the iPad. There's a free app out there, Chow DSP, and a couple of apps by Chow that he's got this modeling for a tape machine, which is pretty awesome. But like that's completely limited compared to something like Sampletron.
I agree.
That's true.
I agree.
And you know what? I don't mind paying you for it, but just I want to pay for something that I can use. And if I'm gonna spend $70, I better use that thing more than just a one-off track.
Oh, yeah.
To do.
Absolutely. I mean, that would be just your personal preference, of course, depending on if the app would
Yeah,
work.
depending on what you do,
and
for sure.
Yeah.
But when I got it, I honestly thought like, okay, I can put my own samples in. This is like a chance to mix 3 sounds together. Because in AUM, you can do it. You can literally take and link a keyboard to 3 different channels. You can do it to more than that, and I do it with the SWAM instruments. I'll stack them so I can make like a nice arrangement with them. But if I can do it in AUM, and that was $19.99, I think you spending $70, I should be able to do that pretty easy.
You can't wait. Are you saying you can't import your own samples into Sampletron?
No, you can, but it's not intuitive. It's very hard to do.
Oh, that's
Like you got to name it a certain thing with a number, a letter, and a number from the key. It's too much.
So you're saying the workflow is not ideal?
Oh, it's awful.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
Yeah.
So if that was improved, I mean, like I said, I think
If that was improved, it'd be worthy.
well, in my
for
opinion,
sure.
I think the 70 was definitely shocking for people. I think that if it was 50, then it wouldn't have been so.
I'm with you.
And if the workflow was
with you on
better,
that.
then you might even have been perfectly okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And $50 is reasonable. I actually told the IK Multimedia rep that came on when I think it was in sound test when we were watching it, and I told him, I said, if you drop the price to $49.99, he didn't take that too well. So I was like, okay, whatever.
Well, yeah, because he got the app for free, so he's gonna.
Yeah, well, I paid for the app, but he was sitting there thinking like $70. That's a reasonable price, and I'm like, you must not know we got devs out here putting out apps for $10.
But again, like,
who said this?
We can't encourage that forever.
Right, for sure. And I'm with paying the money. Like I said, it just got to be a worthy app that I'm going to use or get some really good use out of.
Yeah, agree. We definitely need the workflow improved.
For sure.
If that's what your main concern, and as hopefully you can like try to send IK Multimedia something, because they're really receptive for the most part with responses and stuff, and what people need. Believe it or not, like they're a big company, so like they get a bad rap, but I've found them to be pretty decent with responses at least.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay, let
we got lost in
me ask you this, because I want this needs to kind of be a little bit more fair. you're not loading in any samples into a real multi-sampler without doing some legwork in terms of renaming, right? Whether it's C3, C4, C5, like that's just part of the workflow process when you're building up a sample library. So is that what you feel its sin is the fact that it takes a little workflow prep in order to build your sample set with the sample import?
Well, yeah, I mean, but think about it. I can go in AUM, I can set up 3 channels, I can link the keyboard to all 3 channels, and it will play all those sounds at one time. I can go in Koala, a $10 app, and stack sounds and play it back. And it's literally just drag and drop and stacking sounds. There's other instruments that allow, even this new one, what is it, SDS
Yes.
dash X or whatever? Love that thing. You can take 2 samples and put it together and play 2 samples on a pad. It's not complex. They're making it more than what it is. If you're that good at what you do and you're charging me $70, you need to make it that good. I want to feel like I'm $70 worth.
So here's what I think iPad be making. I think that and Ben, I think that they went with a more traditional workflow where Ben's talking about they need to upgrade their workflow to like something like Segments and Koala, where you just kind of drag and drop, or you just tap one button and the sample loads or something like that.
Well,
Right,
my
I
argument on all of this is just more, it's like the price, it could work if there was more features. For me personally, I wish I could have used it on something like on the M1 Mac. I know it's a bit of like me pushing it, but I'm like, if I'm getting something that it's kind of like trying to blur the lines between a professional application, I think they should probably push it for something that can be used towards the future.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's a great point.
That's a great point, yeah.
Great point. I didn't know. I didn't work on the M1.
So let me ask you this. What if they did this? What if they said, you know what? It's $300. Get it from the App Store. It works on the M1 Mac too. If they gave you a dual license at the desktop price, would you feel better about it then?
Yeah,
You'd have to use it on the desktop then for sure to get the use out of that.
exactly.
Yeah, there's no way I would pay $300 for that.
See what I'm saying?
When I'm
I
not gonna
don't think
use
the
it on the
desktop would
desktop.
ever give it to him for $70. I mean, aside from right now with the buy one get one, what are they at, 21 apps free or something like that right now for their 25th anniversary?
Yeah, it's like, yeah, buy one and you get like 25 or 30 based on how it's like stacking. But yeah,
The price
Well-
is fine with me if I can do everything I need to do with it, and if they give me the ability to really tailor the sounds. But when you give me Mixbox with some flute, with some Mellotron sounds, when I can go buy a Mellotron for $10 and I already got
Hold
Mixbox for like 47. Come on now, I can stack that same sound in 8.
You're being so unreasonable. That's not accurate. It's not true. It's not just taking a dry sample, putting some Mixbox effects on it, and calling it a
Listen,
day.
I'm telling you, you can make some.
I mean, I can see how you can see.
You can
Not quite that. If you look under the hood.
take 3 for the price. Take 3 Swarm instruments and stack them, and the person is not looking under the hood. The average person is just using the instrument.
Agree.
And they're saying, why can I use this instrument over here and it worked just fine, and yours is crashing and I just paid you $70, or yours is not producing the best sounds and I paid you more than what an app that's $10 or $20 or even $30.
And that gets
So when I pay for, if I go buy a Lexus, I don't want to ride in like a Pinto. Okay, that's just what I'm saying. That thing needs to be
But
electric.
how do
I
you
want it
feel when a
float.
Durango gets up faster than your Lexus, right? It's basically like, what are you buying the car for?
Well, I didn't buy it for speed. I bought it for cruising and looking good, right? And I ain't looking good when you're spending $70 and it's crashing. I'm burnt out on the side of the road. That's, you know what I'm saying? That's keeping it real. Like, I'm $70.
Yeah.
Hold on, y'all. Brandon Rico says
that's a
the
family.
price.
That's a meal.
Brandon Rico says the price tends to speak to a professional user that's used to paying that price, but for a desktop workflow and stable experience. That's a hard ask on iOS. I'm going to have to agree with Ben on this one.
Yeah, that's a great point, Brandon.
We Are Rosa says, I feel like if you master whatever, whenever, and however, you'll be happier than if you spend big bucks. Those are both fair points. I'm listening to this through a high-end interface, and I'm listening to other AUV3s, and I'm telling y'all, I hear a difference. Something about this engine is superior in a lot of ways. Just my opinion, just my take. Do you need that?
That's where the subjective stuff comes in.
You said what happened?
That's where the subjectivity comes in. Yeah.
For sure, no doubt about it. But there's certain desktop things I hear with this that I don't hear with every AUV3, right? Even though I like the workflows of certain AUV3s, not all of them sound the same.
Very
Something to take into consideration if that matters to you as a Lexus buyer or Durango buyer, whatever buyer you would be.
Oh, yeah, and the SWAM instruments sound amazing. Guess how much they cost? $30 for the full price. $20 if you catch it on sale.
That's a single sound though.
I can make the
That's right,
same argument with like
but you know what?
Pure Platinum Cog module as well. I mean, their
Yeah,
desktop
when they-
apps have the equivalent on iOS.
When they drop that tenor saxophone on you and you hear it, you're gonna be like, oh yeah. So I'm saying you gotta listen, you gotta give me something that's making me say, yeah, I spent that money because that's what I wanted. I'm rocking them Jordans, I'm wearing them, right? Because these jammies was worth it. But when you give me something, it's like, hey, yeah, this sounds like, the 1960s, like the Beatles, but you only can use it on one thing, and it just sounds, okay, but you got these instruments that you already have in Mixbox, and come on, man, $70, really?
Are you breaking up a bit, Ben?
A Gucci sweater or something on there or something? I'm just trying to find out.
So are you saying you're going to ask for a refund, Ben? Is that where we're at with it?
They won't even give you refunds on certain apps anymore. Apple's gotten tight on that. Like they used to do that where they would just give you a refund. Now they won't. Even if the app's crashing, they will literally not give you a refund. They'll just say, well, the dev is going to work on it and make it better. I'm sure he will. $70, he better make it better. Listen, I'm very straightforward and real with it, but
yeah, interesting points.
It's got to be worthy.
So you feel it isn't worthy due to what you feel is a limited sound type? Is that what I'm getting from you? And the workflow with bringing in samples?
It's very limited, and it's not just being limited because even if you take the SWAM into consideration, there's some of them like the clarinet. I'm not using that. I mean, I just don't have a reason to, and that's okay. But if I want to put it together with other sounds, it still sounds good. And so for $20-$30, okay, that's valid. But I find when you give me a sound and I gotta have, if it's all colored and it still only sounds good because it's colored, then that's a mess, right? Don't give me the drum sample that's already super dirty that I can only use it on one thing. Just give me a clean sample. Let me dirty that thing up the way I want it, right? And that's where things like low-fly dirt comes into play, and you can dirty up your sound. But where's my creativity if I'm using something that's already to your liking? It's built the way you want it to be. Everybody has that same sound. And then you tell me, just put a little more saturation on. Well, guess what? They did that too.
Okay,
So,
Brandon Rico says, I just don't want flagship devs jumping into iOS and making us pay $70 plus on $20 sounds that we already have or can create. Don't charge me for the brand. Charge me because it's undeniably superior. And what I would like to ask you in response to that is what would make it undeniably superior in your opinion? Damien says 2 SWAM instruments and AUM will cost $70, and that's a mixer and 2 sounds. And Mobile Music Pro says, speaking of stability, my browser on iOS just crashed. So apparently iOS can't get its act together. Everything crashed on iOS.
You're right.
Yeah,
it's a mixer that is amazing. And you're right, it's 2 sounds that are amazing. And it's 2 usable sounds and a usable mixer.
I don't feel that way.
Sampletron.
I don't feel that way. If I had to pick between 2 SWAM instruments and Sampletron to get what I need to get done, you can keep the SWAM instruments. They basically by themselves serve no purpose for what I need to do. I'm taking the Sampletron because it's gonna help with my sound and give me that really cool those cool presets that I need to get that vibe. So I think it's just a music type thing, right?
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, it has something to do with that. I mean, and I guess if you think those sounds are gonna be good, but here's the thing: those sounds, once you've heard them, you've heard them. That's it. But a saxophone or a trumpet, there's so many ways that you can put different reverbs on it, different things on it, and I promise you, it can sound different. Whereas when you get that Sampletron, if you take any of those effects off, it's what it is. It's just a naked, dirty, nasty sound that sounds like a bad flute. I guarantee that flute doesn't sound better than Swarm if you took all those effects off. It's just facts. I mean, their instruments sound like a real instrument, and a real instrument will always sound better than something digital. It's what make old music still sound so fresh and good to you. It's why people go out and sample the older stuff because they ran it through real tape decks. They ran it through real stuff, and everything else is just the emulation.
But you're
So
kind
I
of running
agree.
it through a tape deck with Sampletron, are you not? Their stuff has a running tape deck according to the literature.
An emulation of a tape deck. It's a sampled sound. You can literally go sample a tape deck and put it in Koala, a vinyl record sound, and put it over any sound, and it's going to give you that same emulation sound. Now, they may have put a little more time, give you a little bit higher quality sound, but if you go get a 32-bit or a 24-bit sound, you can still make amazing music and not spend $70 for one. I can do it for $70. I can get you 4 or 5 instruments on iOS, and they may be from a dev that's not super famous but are well known, but they work and they're good. And I'd rather support a young up and coming dev who's not trying to take my pockets for advantage of my pockets, and he's still giving me the quality stuff. Anyway,
Okay.
you can get all the updates on Koala for $10, everything. And I guarantee I can do more in that than I would in Sampletron.
Well, I can't deny
Even
the fact
Beatmaker
that
3.
for if we're talking money value, there's no doubt about it. The independent iOS devs got that on lock. My
There
thought
we go.
is, if you got to squeeze an hour of time in, that's all the time you got in a day to make a beat. And money's no object. Let's just say money's no object. Do you want things already kind of preset up to get you going, or do you want to be working for one sound for 45 minutes instead of working on the whole
Yep.
composition when you have to deal with all the responsibilities of that?
Yeah, give me that one sound for 45 minutes because my one sound's going to sound better after I spend 45 minutes on it than it would through you just giving something that everybody else has. I mean, even was that Brandon Rico, I was trying to read what he said. Rarely ever you rely on raw presets. See, that's the thing, is like you have to tweak them. He's right about that. You have to tweak the sound. If you're just going to use the raw preset, then what's the difference in anybody else just using the same thing? I mean, that's
But
why I play
but you
guitar
have
and
the
why I
effects
play.
to tweak them endlessly right here. The whole effects chain, the tape machine stuff, the attack, release, the
Yeah.
tone. You can mix these things how you want. So
Yep.
you do have a lot of options. Look at the tape.
Yeah. No, I've seen it. I went through it. I'm just not impressed for $70.
Okay.
I get what you're saying. You can make a song off of it. You can get a sample, and I get that. I really do. And I'm not saying you can't make something that's decent, but in reality, is it $70 worthy? I mean, if they give it to me for free, sure, you wouldn't hear me say nothing about it, but it was free.
Well, I just, can you guys hear me?
Yep, we can hear
Hey,
you.
there he is. What's
Yeah,
up,
yeah.
Vortex?
Just real quick, I just want to make sure that everybody, we do have to make some distinction between a large company like IK Multimedia and then one guy who's doing Koala, because one obviously has to support a lot more than the other. Now, just that aside, let's just keep that aside. We're not talking about workflow or quality or anything like that. Just that aside, you do have to keep that in mind as far as price range goes. But yes, obviously, we definitely want the best workflow that we can. But like I said, I think we should I think we all agree, right, that if it was $50, it would have been less shocking. But that's what they're trying to go for.
Yeah.
Do
Look,
you
I still
feel
bought it at 70, so I mean, obviously, I still bought it, so obviously I'm willing to support these
Sure.
people, but I mean, I'm just speaking that when I got it, I was expecting a little bit easier to get the sounds at my own sound so I could have something different. Even
Yep,
if
and
I
that
just
makes
blend
sense.
them, and it's to me, they need to make that easier. Like I said, if they make that easier, I'll find my $70 worth out of the instrument.
so what would make it easier? Being able to drag and drop samples directly onto it, or what if they're watching right
Exactly.
now, what suggestions would you give them to make this easier for you to digest the $70 purchase and feel like it was worth it?
Just make it easier to drag and drop. That's simple. For instance, another thing too, like I don't want if I only want to use two of the instruments, let's say I only want two, you literally the mix only allows you to use three. If you turn the mix off, you can use individual. But if you want only two, you have to delete one, then turn the mix on so that you can just use two. I'm like,
Mm,
what?
That's interesting.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
that's an interesting
crazy. So it's
decision.
things like that. Like if I just want to use two, well, on the other Mellotrons, I think there was a slider in between, and you could set them somewhere in between and use just two. But anyway, it is what it is. But I really want it to be more intuitive to where I can just drag and drop. I mean, that's the wave we're in with, especially with iOS. Most devs, most things are drag and drop. I mean,
Yep, and that makes
what is
sense. It should be
yeah,
drag and drop at this point in the game, especially of course
especially
if
when you're IK. It's not
yeah
like you're
when if you're going to play at that level, you know. But of course, you also have to
exactly.
understand that the bigger companies can't move as fast as the little guys, you know. So we have to take that into account a little bit. But drag
Yeah,
and drop
respect.
seems like it should be pretty standard right now. But then of course, Sample Tank is an AUV3 yet, so.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, multi Mixbox is amazing. I use their stuff. I use their sound card. So it's not an issue of them. It's more of an issue of that price versus what I'm getting. When the price is right, I'm Bob Barker in this jammy. I will spend. I'll be a contestant when the price is right, but just give me the right price.
What would be the right price
Yep,
for
yep.
this app, in your opinion?
I think Vortex said it. $50 is reasonable for it. It's a good. The sounds in it collectively are great. Like you said, if you take all the other stuff off, it's whatever. But that I could use my own sounds. Make that happen. Like that's no brainer. If you can do it on, if a one dev can do it, if you have a team, you can do it.
And what's also
There's
kind
no
of
excuse.
yeah, yeah, and what's also kind of messed up though is that I think $70 is their introductory price too. So
I
that's
know.
also going to scare people away a little bit. I think they're kind of moving a little too fast with that pricing. Like we want to head in that direction, but I don't know if it's okay to charge that much right now where we are. I think 50. I think we all agree 50 would have been a great price, and maybe keep it introductory and then maybe charge 70 for the final. But I mean, anything over 50 at this point in the iOS ecosystem is going to scare people off, and that's okay for now. But eventually, we do have to be okay with paying $50 for apps. But like you know, like Ben said, they have to be worth it.
Yeah, fifty
That's
dollars and sell me some sounds. Like you can sell sound packs within the thing if you want and make your other money off of it. I mean,
okay.
how hard is it?
Okay.
You made the app, you know how to make a sound pack.
Okay, okay. What about the value that you might get long term for something like this? Because I believe Mixbox, they're still giving out free presets every month. If they do something like that for this app, if we let it go down 4, 5, 6 months, every month they're releasing some new Sampletron sound packs or whatever. How do you feel about it then?
I think it still needs to be $50.
50
I still,
bucks?
yeah, thank you. Thank you. $50. And if you want to sell like Core Module Pro, they sold packs on the side. If you want to buy, you get a sample to listen to. They even let you try it for 7 days. And then if you like it, buy the thing. If you don't, then you still fit $50. That's a
I mean,
reasonable price.
if you look at a lot of the models that other apps are doing for in-app purchases for packs, they're all doing it in bite-sized packages, right? So they're all like $1 to $2, and
That's
I
right.
definitely buy a crap load of those because it's hard to not hear something so great and then have a $2 price tag from me not buy it. Like I don't have that ability to withstand that because it's so cheap. So I think that if they did something like that too, like that would be cool to have some kind of if they want to do packs, you know, that would be a way to do it. Small bite-sized packages, $1 to $2, people will buy it.
they always say in this in a world where you're selling that to know your audience. And if your audience is professionals, I wouldn't say all professionals, not all, other than Henny and I think Bolo. There's not a lot of professionals that are using the iPad, but people will still, but the people that are trying to become professional or trying to get in that market will use your product. Just keep the product at a reasonable cost and sell, like you said, packs if you really want to make your money.
Well, SEONN has a great point. You know, Mixbox was a great hit. It cost a pretty penny, but I think that the community agreed that it was for the most part worth it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a great point for sure.
What
That's
is
a great point on
Mixbox
that.
currently priced at?
I
I
think
think
it
it's
was on
70, right?
sale.
Well,
When
It's
it
on
came out, wasn't it like
sale now for like
$39 or something?
$47. No, it was more than that, right? Or no, yeah,
It's
you're right. The entry
47
price
right
was like
now.
39.
See, it's 47, and that's a reasonable price, $50. You see, under that
That is a
$50
good
price
price.
tag is the sweet spot right now.
Yep.
A couple of years, maybe not so much, but right now, anything over 50, that's going to scare the community. And see, I'm okay with that right now, but I'm not okay with that 5 years from now. $50 can't scare the music production community if you really want to be taken seriously and
I'm
get
with
this
you on that.
There we
amazing type of
go.
apps that our people are going to pop out. Like, so I'm okay with it now, but yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm
But
okay
to your
with
point,
the.
Ben, real quick, to your point, I totally agree with you that the app has to be worth it. We can't just be charging 70 for anything. I'm just saying.
Well, yeah. I mean, when you get a one-trick pony, something that you're going to use for what, if it's drums, if it's piano, or if it's bass, those are three elements that are always in music, right? People look for piano, drums, and bass. And
Yeah.
occasionally, you hear some guitars, which we get, but most people would prefer to play a live guitar. But the thing is that a bass app would sell, and I would pay you $70 gladly for a good bass app. Oh, there's
Ooh,
Max.
Rico in the house.
What's up, Max?
Yo, what's up, y'all?
What up, y'all?
So here's the thing. We got IK Multimedia, we got UVI, we got Road, we got all these flagship players in the game, right? The problem is that I fear that when it comes time for people like Spectrasonics or Native Instruments to I don't know, finally come to their senses and join the iOS team, right? They'll this pricing trend will remain, and if they feel like they could get away with reproducing the same stuff that we already have, um, basic sine waves and quick samples of older, if they Akai us and charge us 50 plus, then there goes the iOS community. There goes the iOS beat making and musician library, because now all the flagship developers will start. I mean, we've got our own kind of window of flagship developers within the iOS community right now. But when it comes to sound and quality, the asking price is pretty compliant, right? So we got Korg, we got, of course, Arturia, we got the Moog apps, we have so many flagships right now, but their asking prices is pretty, like I said, compliant. I would have liked to see, like Vortex said, I would have liked to see a less shocking number, like maybe $50, and then that's a little bit more digestible than $70. I'll take $50 with the option to buy smaller preset packs, I guess. But once you start reaching that threshold of $50 on up, my eyebrows raise. I mean, people come to iOS because of the pricing, and to create this narrative that, we will have to deal with it one day. It's gonna come, or we could not do the consumer thing and just go with whatever Apple decides to charge for their iPhones. We just go with that. We just eat that up. Oh, we charging $2,000 for the new iPhone 14 this year. Okay, give it to me because it's new. Okay, as the consumer, we have the buying power. We have the last say so, and we just say, okay, whatever you say, set the tone. And I fear that without gut checking these developers or people who decide to put these things out, $70, man. The sounds that I've heard before.
Yeah.
You know, iPad B making it saying that he's hearing a difference in the sound engine. Okay. Is it the sound engine or because you said individually the strings just didn't impress you. It didn't wow you individually, right?
I
But
don't
then
like
you
I
went
don't
to
like the
preset.
individual sounds too much at all. I like the presets the way that they're set up, but in all fairness, in Omnisphere, if I break the sounds down into their individual elements, I'm not
agree.
the biggest fan of those either.
I agree with that. But within Omnisphere, again, that asking price, that's about what? $400 to $600, depending on what time of year you buy it.
Easily. I bought it 100 years ago. I forget what it was up there though. The trillion is
Okay.
really egregious. So yeah.
So imagine that workflow. Imagine Spectrasonic saying, "All right, we'll do an Omnisphere for iOS and call it, I don't know, whatever." Imagine them bringing that workflow, everything that Omnisphere is, and bringing that into iOS. How much would you pay for that? Close to $400 to $600
Yeah,
on
right.
iOS.
No, I would need them to do what IK does, where it's pretty much a quarter to a third of the price. So I'd give them $200 for Omnisphere. I would do that.
Okay, so given that iOS is iOS, we know for a fact that Omnisphere is not going to be Omnisphere on iOS. It's going to be iOS's version.
Yeah, I mean, well,
What does that
to
mean
to
exactly?
to well, I can explain it to piggyback off of that. You just take GarageBand. The GarageBand that's on your MacBook is not the same GarageBand that's on your phone and on that tablet. They're different,
Bingo.
and
But
it's awful on the phone and tablet,
but
but it's
Mixbox is
actually
the
really
same.
good. What do you mean Mixbox is the same?
But Mixbox is the same as the desktop version, right?
To be honest with you, I've never used the desktop version of
Yeah,
Mixbox,
that's what I'm saying. There are
so
one-to-one
I
ports in the
can't
form of like
speak.
Mixbox and I think this Sampletron as well as the Hammond organ. I think IK is trying to bring one-to-one ports from Mixbox
Okay.
on to the iPad.
Well, like the only reason I said
I can
that
respect that if that's what they're
$70
doing, but
was a shock. It's a shock. I don't have a problem with paying anything for any of these apps. I've spent over over 100 or almost $200 on a mixing preset suite for iOS. So the money is not the issue. It's the
value.
the functionality and the value proposition that you're giving me with that asking price. Um, of course, we spend hundreds of
what is
dollars
that?
and $2 here and $7 there
Listen,
and
mastering.
$10. Say that again. Somebody say something.
Was that Lurson mastering console?
I don't even remember what it was. I
Yeah.
I liked it.
Was that the Lurson? Yeah.
It could have been the
Let me see.
Fab
Like
Filter
80
suite.
I don't even
So
have. I think it was the first one was the Fab Filter suite, and then it was something else that I picked up
Yeah,
that I
Fab
really
Filter's
like
another one.
using.
Those ones are one-to-one
oh
with the
yeah.
desktop versions.
So the value is there. The value is there from Fab Filter to Core Gadget. Let's just say, right? But then you kind of weigh things like even what they're doing with the Pure Synth Platinum or the MK Sensation. You kind of weigh these things with the competition. Pure Synth or MK Sensations from gospel musicians, they're killing the game.
No doubt
killing
about
the
that.
game, giving us some beautiful lush sounds, right? And they have a desktop version.
But aren't those limited though compared to the desktop version in terms of the samples you get?
Absolutely
Very
not.
usable sounds too.
No,
Limited
I don't mean they're not usable. I mean that we get less. How I say this? Basically, aren't the libraries bigger on desktop?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No, you get these are 17 gig libraries from MK Sensation. People are reluctant to download that to their iOS because a lot of us are working with 256
for sure
gigabytes of space. So me personally, I would trade that off. It's quality over quantity. I would trade 17 gigs for usable sounds. Easy. Versus 10 5 gigabyte libraries that sound like crap. They sound like sine waves that I have to tweak. I don't necessarily use presets because there's somebody else's it's somebody else's idea already. Like Ben said earlier in the stream, when you make it too saturated to where I don't have any say so on what the sound is going to sound like, now it's not unique. Now it's your sound and my melody, I guess. I mean, it's just when you put too much on it.
You basically want me to sound like
and that's the
so
difference between an Omnisphere or a Nexus. Nexus and Omnisphere has so many sounds and presets that everything is extremely unique, undeniably unique. That when you pick them apart, the layers and all that stuff, they sound like everything else. But again, those presets are undeniably great. And then what comes with those presets is again the options to the options to manipulate. But when we're talking about this and don't get me wrong, I love IK Multimedia. I love everything that they're doing and putting out for the iOS community. But that's
me too.
That asking price. That's a shock. That is a shock. My eyebrows raised when I saw the price. And I was wondering what makes this $70. What is it? What's so different that makes this $70? Is it the name, or these sounds have to be? Everyone has to hit for me. It's not. It doesn't have just to be the presets. Every sound individually has to at least sound thicker and warmer than things that I can do in AUM. Has to. It has to hit that way every time for $70. At scale, be careful what you're accepting in iOS.
App Store to look else.
So let me ask you this: would you prefer if they were to say, we can't do this for less than $70? We're not going to develop it for iPad for less than $70 retail price. Would you rather they just skipped iPad overall, or that they gave us the opportunity?
Absolutely not. And that's not what I'm saying. Again, it's just. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Fair pricing model. That's all I'm just saying. In my case, it was like find a way to distribute the pricing in a way that isn't such a big investment. Because if a lot of people are going to, for example, buy this as their first application, that's a big investment. Seriously. The people who probably buy this app are from those way it's being marketed, people who are already used to the iOS ecosystem.
Yeah.
But that's already a smaller crowd.
So picture this. This Christmas, Johnny gets an iPad mini. 64 gigs. All right, let's bump it up to 256.
256. Right? Don't do them like that.
All right. Let's bump it up.
Johnny ain't getting no apps. It's Pearson. He spent it all on that 64 gig.
And then he gets $50 from his grandma, Christmas Day. What's he gonna spend it on? He's gonna spend it all on he's gotta put his allowance with that to buy the one AUV3? Is that gonna be his last stop? Is that the only synth the only instrument he's ever gonna need for the next 6 months to a year on his iPad?
Absolutely not. But this should not be
'Cause
anyone's first
now
AUV3 purchase. Let's clear the deck on that. This should not be
I
anyone's first
understand.
AUV3 purchase.
Hey, check. Let's add this to the equation. Why do you name your app Sampletron when it's your samples? It ain't no way to sample in it, and you make it so complex where the average iOS user is not going to even know how to
Bingo.
use that app.
It's not a
They're not
familiar
going to
user
understand.
interface.
So my thing is, if you can go into AUM, exactly, if you can go into AUM and stack a sound really quickly and add some mixbox effect on it and get the same type of sound, why am I going to spend $70 for one app when I can get multiple apps that will give me multiple purposes, more use out of them? And this is a one-trick pony. It's not like a drum set or a bass guitar or something where you can use it in multiple songs and you're going to get your $70 worth.
One trick pony.
You know, I mean, we're not.
I
For
cannot believe this. Y'all
$70,
feel
I
like
want to
this
be
is
able to
a
buy this.
one-trick pony?
No. I don't feel like this is a one-trick pony. I'm just saying the pricing trend will turn into developers believing that since they have the name, then I can come in with a one-trick pony and they'll pay for it.
I respect that. You're basically saying, I'm watching my neighborhood get turned upside down with condos going up, prices getting raised everywhere, complete ripoffs going on. I don't want my neighborhood to be that. I want us to keep our small town feel on iOS where we've got
Not necessarily,
Really, no.
That's not
for Mixbus, okay? We paid for Mixbus, and I would have been happy to pay the full price of it.
Are we willing to go to 100 plus per app for the major stuff?
I would. Yes, absolutely. And that's the part that I wanted to say.
Yes, for a quality app.
And that's the part that I'm waiting on, because if I'm paying 100 plus, 100 plus got me the mixing suite that I just absolutely love.
Oh, it gets me absolutely love. Me.
What's the mixing suite?
I believe it is Fab Filter.
The Fab Filter.
Okay. And I have to find I left all my iPads upstairs.
Must be nice. All of them.
Ain't that crazy? That all of them. No, actually, I have one up here, but this is not the one that has the stuff. But no, I mean, I've been waiting on the day where they say something as big of the caliber of, let's say, like Logic Pro. I've been waiting on the day. Out $100 easy, because that's $200 on desktop.
Yeah, but I told Apple, I said I bought it on desktop for $200. I'll buy it again from you.
Absolutely,
but I need it.
But don't give me $100 Logic and call it Logic, and it's still performing like GarageBand.
Yeah,
exactly.
Honestly, I feel GarageBand is Logic Lite, and everyone keeps saying when is Logic gonna come? I honestly think GarageBand is just
GarageBand. Yeah.
And you know what? GarageBand would be okay with me if it was the desktop GarageBand, but I don't want the iOS GarageBand. It's trash. And so, I mean, you can use it, but it's not good.
I wouldn't say it's trash, but it is definitely different. It's different. It's difficult.
Different. It's my main.
When you compare it to Logic or
real quick, Brandon. I gotta ask you, Brandon. So you're saying you don't like most of the presets in Sampletron, right?
I haven't heard a lot of them. I came in right when I commented, and I was like, okay.
Gotcha,
so I waited on him to play the next one. I was like, okay, all right. Then I commented. I said, I'm not sure I'm feeling the strings on this one. I'm like, all the strings that you played, not $70. Then he said, the presets are what make it beefy. And I was like, oh, okay. So we buying it for the presets. Do we not know that we can do this on our own?
It's basically to me the Omnisphere approach, right? What separates like a Nexus and an Omnisphere is really built on stacking a lot of sounds, and when you start breaking down the individual parts, you're like, dang, they did all this to get this one sound. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of what
Got you.
Sampletron is like to me. When you hear the loose sounds, not very impressive. That's to be expected. But when you hear their presets, it's like, whoa, you hear the audio engine, you can hear the tape emulations going, the Mixbox effects suite, and just without touching anything, I think it sounds really nice. Now, if I wanted to go in and tweak all the different stuff like you guys like to do, I'm sure we can make it sound totally different than what's just stock here.
Well, I don't know if it's just that. Maybe I've been spoiled with apps like Cog Module or Pure Sim Platinum, but the amount of variety I have from those applications just makes me feel like this app is not competition. Exactly.
Yeah. I agree.
There's nothing wrong with them apps whatsoever. I just want to get everyone's take on. I'm not bashing on the platform again. It's at $70.
Absolutely.
Okay.
At $70, sure. Okay, let's go with that. All I'm saying is it was a shock, and it made me wonder. I'm curious, not curious enough to buy. If they would have sent it to me free, I probably would have had the same stance.
Well, we all agree $50 would have been more reasonable.
$50 would have been more digestible. I would have. I'd take that in the chin.
Your eyebrows wouldn't have been raised. Nobody's eyebrows would have been raised.
But $70 now we knocking on a whole buck here.
Well, now we're gonna break down every little detail of the app, every little preset, and see if this is actually worth it. When you're trying to charge $70, now we have to break down every little freaking thing. We can't just easily say,
Yeah.
Does anyone own the Hammond app, the organ app?
No,
but I could probably get more value out of that if they want to trade it.
Yeah, I've heard it. It sounds nice.
See, that's what I want to know. I want to know, because all apps aren't created equal to me in terms of the sound engine and the feel. And I know you're a real pianist, and I really wanted your opinion on the Hammond app and how they did on that emulation, and if you feel like IK's bringing that top tier quality with asking for these kind of prices.
So IK is very reputable when it comes to sample quality and providing those libraries. But so is UVI, and their approach to it was, again, the in-app purchases. That's a lot more digestible, and it's like Vortex said, you know, your eyebrows aren't raised. At that point, it's a no-brainer. All right, I'll eat that purchase, as opposed to, all right, dang, well, do I got gas in my car? You know what I mean? Like, right, yeah. Then what are my kids gonna eat for the weekend, or you know? And
it's up there for sure. It's expensive
for somebody dabbling in, and that's what I try to think about even when I do all of my reviews for the technology that I talk about on my channel, or even I've turned down a lot of paid sponsored apps and reviews for tech, and I've sent a lot of stuff back simply because I can't use it. I'm not going to tell everybody that this is usable or worth what you're asking. It's a great product, just not for me. And it might be for somebody else, but I can't talk about it in a way that, oh, you should get this because I use it too. Not really. You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't feel that great. And walking away, every time I buy a $10 app, I'm wondering, was this a good investment? And I know that sounds bad. That sounds terrible. But you got to think about people who don't have the $10 or people ran in refuge away from desktop to iOS because of the price difference. So when you think about those shocking asking prices, think about those users. Yep. Now think about this user. The user, and I hate to be like, the user like me. I actually use my iPads to make money. I wouldn't have so many iPads if they didn't make me money. Trust and believe that everything that I have in this studio or in everything that I actually pay for, they actually serve a purpose. I know exactly how I don't have to figure out how I'm going to fit it into my workflow or how I'm going to, like, I know exactly why I'm going to use it and exactly what it's going to do before I make that purchase. And to walk away and feel like, I could have paid $20 less for that. I don't want to feel that ever about anything, ever.
Yep.
What if a sound in there gets you a Billboard topping song, one single sound
that's
in
great.
the app? Is it worth it then?
Maybe. But I just don't.
You're not going to be inspired to create that track, though.
Yeah, I don't want to spend that type of time thinking about that to justify. Yeah, justify.
Everybody knows how I feel about Cubasis. I'm not a fan of the editing in that workflow. I spent $50 for that app, but check it out. I felt like that 50 is better than the 70 I spent on this Sampletron.
Well, yeah, I mean, 50 for a whole DAW. I mean, yeah.
Right, and I can actually use it. It's usable. I may not, it may not be my thing, my bag, but that don't mean nothing. I can still go in and create a song in it.
And
Sampletron, I'm like, what?
There you go. So $50 for a entire DAW. Again, this is all I'm asking. This is all I'm asking is that you look at it at scale. Yep. An entire DAW where I've made a couple $100 in Cubasis 3 on my phone. Kid you not. Somebody we transferred me some files that I was able to download to my phone, mix it, and they had no idea this was done on a phone. Mix it, and then send it back to them. And I made a couple hundred on a $50 app from my cell phone.
That's so epic.
This is asking for $70 for one instrument that does not do what the title says it does. Yeah. Sampletron?
Not a sampler.
It does sample.
Unless you take it.
It does sample. And I'm going to do everyone a favor. I'm going to actually learn how to sample in it, and I'll do a video covering it because I just got the app 5 minutes before I went live.
That's perfect then. Okay.
It does sample though. It's we gotta get the facts straight. It does sample. Just because we ain't.
And again, I'm not
bashing.
I'm not bashing the app. I'm not. Again,
it's the price. It's the price.
Yeah, it's the price that raises the eyebrow that makes me go, whoa, hold on.
Yeah. That's why we're having this whole discussion, I guess.
Yeah, price and value proposition.
The question I have then is, are we ready to get Native Instruments complete Omnisphere?
Apparently not.
Because these companies are going to want these prices for these apps in order to bring them over. So are we ready for that?
Which is probably why they
iPad. No,
exactly. There again. And I said that in one of my and I think it was one of my videos for can the iPad Pro replace a desktop? The question is not are we ready for it? The question is, are you able to give us that caliber in iPad OS?
Yeah,
thank you.
And if Sampletron is doing that, then how do we feel about that? It's $300 on desktop. It's the exact same app, same sound engine, same samples, and it's almost a quarter of the price.
I'm not mad at the price. I'm just saying that it definitely
proposition for me. It's a value proposition.
It violated my my impulse purchase. The Brandon in me said, Rico was like, yeah, but we need it.
The family man of me said, that ain't happening.
Yeah. The family man said, hold on, you need lunch next week.
For sure. I want to make sure we're clear though. DAWs are always good value propositions. Logic is $200. I bought it probably 10, 15 years ago. Whenever they first got it into the Mac App Store, it's still getting updated for free. Meanwhile, FabFilter spent thousands on that on the desktop. Omnisphere's, you know what I'm saying? So the DAW being cheaper than the instruments is a normal thing.
Yeah.
No, I get that, and
That's a
I
great
understand
point.
that. But then you said something like, "Well, what if this one sound in the whole instrument gets you a placement? The same sound that I could stumble upon or kind of accidentally create using two layering apps, or what are we?"
Or
Oh,
AUM, just
there's no
AUM.
doubt about that. But part of what you're paying for is the inspiration, right? When you're getting apps like these that are these big engines where they've got these fancy presets, is you're paying for that inspiration off top and not spending the time to find it, you know?
Right. Yeah. No, I get that. I agree with you on that front. Again, that's just user preference. I get inspiration by touch, feel, and sonics. If it feels good sonically, I'm gonna use it. I don't spend
right.
I don't spend a whole lot of time tweaking. Once I start touching stuff and mapping stuff, and if it sounds good right then and there,
Yeah.
I'm using it. But
Which is why
going
I
through
think you'll love
presets,
Sampletron.
Well, hold up. But Brandon was saying that if it was 50, he wouldn't have had that feeling about, man, I could have paid $20 less. You see.
yeah,
Surprise.
yeah.
So I think Brandon would have been much happier. I think the whole community would have been much happier if they came out with 50 and left it at 50, not done 70 as an intro.
50 and then ask me for an in-app purchase. Ask me if I want to upgrade.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
At least right now, that's just how the landscape is right now. Like, I want a contact, and I want these things too, and I want them to be as stable as the desktop. But we're just not there yet. So in like 5 years, I do want to be okay with having an Omnisphere.
Do
and that
not
kind of
come
stuff.
into the iOS community as a bully.
Yeah.
Ask if you can have a seat at the table first.
Yeah.
Don't
Agreed.
just say
Again-
no. I want that chair right there. No, the one you're sitting in.
In
No,
fairness, I just want
like
to come.
that chair.
I'm going to be the IK Multimedia apologist right now. They have been the first pro company to really come in and embrace iOS as a whole. So
Once
think
again,
they're-
I love them for it.
Yep.
I love them for it. Again, I agree with that. From hardware to software,
They kinda
I
have-
agree. They are probably the best ones to do it if they're going to do it.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is
And while that's
consider this.
Consider it.
If we accept the 50 pluses as the norms for things that are not the undeniably superior, things that don't sound similar to this or don't sound like you're saying that I would have to hear it. I would have to hear it.
Exactly.
Maybe I need to pay
I want you to
It's
hear
like
it for
reminding
real.
us of the next gen consoles. It's the next gen consoles up there asking for $70, but the games looks the same.
Yeah, exactly.
But if
can't-
you got a
here's-
TV that can
here's my-
support those higher specs, you do feel the difference when playing the game.
Yeah.
True,
Right.
but they're making stuff
Right.
for iPads all the way to like the Air 2, all the way to this. And with such a large market, it's not going to apply to exactly the same. That's another part where I'm always shaking when it comes to stuff like this.
Mhm.
Yeah. And also the fact that it's very, iOS, as amazing as it is, it's not exactly the most stable. I mean, we're still seeing updates on Cubase's 3. GarageBand's definitely not the door, I'd say, if you want to go full blast on anything. Nano Studio 2 doesn't really have audio tracks, although I wish it did because it would have been awesome. And you're getting a lot of all of this massive applications that are trying to like sneak a massive part of something that isn't as reliable as you'd expect it to be. Because if I'm paying $70 for an application, which again I don't necessarily mind, but with what's going to be working with, it's kind of like I put this really expensive coat on paint on something that still has some holes in it, and yeah, that's where I'm always like trying to like. I have hope for iOS that it will get better, especially with the new M1 generation.
Mhm.
But I still think it's a bit too soon. And part of the reason why I keep advocating for them to design stuff for the M1 is that from a software design side, which is more what I do more electric and software stuff. If they start designing for the M1 systems, it'll be a lot easier for them to be able to build it stable for the iPad's infrastructure because of like the backwards compatibility of and the way it's been set up that way. But again, that's just my take on this.
So I think the difference is when you pay $100 for a fab filter, there is more use of that. You're going to use it on every track.
Hold
right?
on.
You're gonna
Are you
use
saying
something in
are you
the
saying a
fact.
single Fab Filter plugin, or are you talking about the bundle? I just want to be clear because on desktop it's like 100 something for a
I'm saying
plugin.
when you buy, yeah, when you buy the bundle, the majority of the time there's one in there, the Q3, right, that I use
Yeah.
almost every track. So I'm saying even if that one was used on every track, I'm gonna get my money's worth. The problem is when I look at a one trick pony, and I call it that because it's just a sampler that has a couple effects on it. It's not, it shouldn't be at that cost because your mix box that has all these same effects is
Is
half
it a sampler or a
is
rompler?
47.
See,
It's
it's
a
It's kind of like
sampler.
we really can't minimize it like that. We got to be fair. It's a sampler. It's a rompler. It's got a tape emulation, not just the typical tape one. Like the actual tape reel is running just like a real
Nice.
Mellotron does. They really try to capture the essence of a real Mellotron.
Again, I
and
just
then they
came in.
added
I
the
just
sampler
came in and
part to it.
heard.
I don't
And the
blame you
modeling
for
is
that.
incredible.
I'm gonna do
It's
a real
always-
demo
and I'm-
and make beats, and it's gonna make it a little bit better.
And I'm not saying
Yeah.
that you can't, it's not usable. You can use it, okay? But I'm talking about something that you're going to use all the time in all your tracks. It's
Yep.
not going to be used all the time. Bottom line, you're not going to use it for a bass line. It's just not
Yep.
going to happen. So when you make a bass or a drum thing, app for that, yes, I'm going to use those often. So then, yes, $70, whatever, I'll pay it. But when you give me something and you say, hey, here's a $70 Sampletron that's like a Mellotron, but it's just a little bit better. And it's basically the same effects, basically minus the tape. I'll take the tape out of it. Same effects that you can get in Mixbox. To me, you're selling me the same product for
The
more money.
redundancy. Yeah, the
And
redundancy
that's
of
where I
what
have a
we
problem.
have.
I mean, I
Apps
almost
like-
see it
like-
as a feature too, because Syntronic, if you look at Syntronic as well from IK Multimedia, has all those amazing, mixbox effects in there as well. And I see that as more of a feature more than buying. Of course, again, that's more of an instrument that you might use on more tracks than Sampletron. But I just really quick want to do a quick takeaway just so everybody's like clear, because we do have 14 people watching. So just like the consensus here so far is that everybody would have not had their eyebrows raised if it was 50, and everybody would have been a little bit more happy if the workflow was more driven like drag and drop like we're used to with other apps,
Yep.
and that they need to target pro users, of course, but consider the ecosystem. Consider that we have, $50 DAWs. Consider that Mixbox is $50. Consider that, Sample Tank is $25, and maybe not come out with something that's $70 as an intro price. So just real quick, I just wanted to get that out of the way.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's it.
Well
It's
said.
alright.
That's all I wanted. That's all I wanted to consider.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not mad at the price. I'm not even mad at the app. It sounds decent, just
Yeah.
not $70. I probably would have impulse purchased at $50. $70 made me raise an eyebrow.
The $70
And I did impulse
definitely
buy,
is gonna make you think about this for sure. The 50's like, I'll do it.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
50's
I'll
like
do
high
it.
prices, right? We're like, yeah, we're just kind of trained. That's our highest threshold right now,
You
but
go.
that's still in the threshold of an
Yeah.
impulse buy.
It definitely
Yeah.
isn't a threshold of an impulse buy. And you start getting to 70, you definitely start. You're thinking.
you start
about how
questioning stuff
much-
like, whoa, hold on, what does this do that
Mhm.
the other 50 apps?
And that's what Brandon I think is saying. Just like read the room a little bit with that kind of stuff. I think
Hey,
I can
I
just read the
think-
room a little
I'm
bit.
asking anybody to prove me wrong on this. That's why I would love it, because then I'd say my $70
prove you
investment is
wrong on
worth it.
what?
So prove me wrong. Just prove me wrong on that it's more than just basically a Mellotron with some extra added effects in it.
illumination.
Well, Ben really wants the workflow.
Hold on, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not selling itself. We got to keep the app in its genre, though. You're saying you want it to be more than a Mellotron now?
I just want to see what use it's going to be other than just something that sounds like it's in a Beatles song. I mean, I love the
I mean,
Beatles,
it's an
don't get me wrong,
instrument,
but I
and you can kind of use it,
It's like 12 a.m.
listen, there's a Mellotron for less than $20 on the iOS system that sounds like a Mellotron. I don't want a Mellotron. I want it to be a Sampletron. You get my drift?
I get-
It's
I
saying in
understood
the
that.
title, it's
I
more than
understand.
just a Mellotron. Okay.
So it
I
also
understand.
So
sounds like that in addition to the things I mentioned, the title is a bit misleading to people, maybe.
It very
Yeah.
much is.
Well,
Yeah,
it does sample.
Okay.
We just got to figure out how.
And so,
Okay,
so
you
with
On
the- with
desktops,
the
this ain't a
title-
thing, though.
with- Yeah,
Wait,
with
I
the
paid you
title,
$70 to
with
figure
it
it
being
out?
in his name, it shouldn't be. We got to figure it out.
I
Yeah,
think what
that's
happened was they
terrible.
ported over the desktop style of sampling, which is what people on desktop would be accustomed to. They didn't
Yeah.
take an iOS user's workflow into consideration, I think, when they built the sampler into it, compared to the drag and drop that they've got going on now.
Yeah.
All right. I think we've reached consensus for the most part. I don't want to keep anybody up too late. SEONN just left, so thanks so much, SEONN, for being here. But
Definitely,
he's out.
SEONN, thanks for pulling up.
And I'm about to dip too, but it's been good
Cool.
seeing everybody.
It's already getting me.
We're gonna prove that we can sample in this, Ben. I promise. We are gonna work together and sample in the Sampletron.
Hey man, let's do it. Let's figure this
Yeah,
out.
I just came into the room. I didn't mean to.
No, you had a great,
I didn't mean to stir up no trouble. I just
keep it in 100 with Brandon.
You had a lot of
Not
great
stir up the
points.
trouble, because these conversations need to be had. They need to understand how the iOS community feels. I think they priced Mixbox too low when it first came out, or they feel they priced it too low, and they've been kind of trying to figure out the pricing since. They might have came in pricing this a little bit too high.
Little hot.
Yeah, I mean, with conversations like this, I think about I get maybe 50 DMs a day asking me how can I get started making beats on an iPad, right? Then I'll send them, like, I have this this pre-text script that I'll send everybody that asks me that question, and then they'll look at different prices of the apps that I suggest, and impulse purchases are made, and then some additional questions come, and it's always on the same apps, the ones that meet that threshold. So those are the people that I think about when I say be careful what we're accepting, because this is a lot of people's entry point into iOS or into music, period. Music, period.
Yep, agree.
So you know, you asked, what if that one sound that you find in Sampletron gets you a billboard placement? Cool. That would change a life, right? But how many times will that happen for people who bought the hundreds of people who bought Omnisphere and are sleeping on the, I don't know, Expand from you know, or
You talking about Expand from Avid?
Yeah,
right.
Expand,
That's a great point.
Or even what's the it's slipping
There's
my
so
mind.
many.
What is it? The one instrument, and that's both in Logic and on GarageBand iOS.
You talking about the I know what you're talking about. Alchemy.
Yeah.
Alchemy
is way more powerful to an entry-level user, somebody who just got into making digital music and just so happened to create a hit from Alchemy at a entry-level price. It was more available. They were more inclined to use it because it was already there. It came with the DAW, as opposed to buying $600 Omnisphere that's on Billboard.
Yeah. Limitations breeds excellence, and I love that about like
limitations breed huge innovation, and I say that all the time on my channel.
Yeah, I posted that as well. It's a good one. Limitation ignites creativity. It's definitely good.
And I just want the next, I don't know, digital Stevie Wonder to be able to have access to your Sampletrons. And if digital Stevie Wonder in 2032 doesn't have $70, but he's got $20 in some in-app purchase money in the next couple of weeks.
Well, also to be fair, Brandon, like to set your mind at ease, maybe too. You know, there's always going to be different classes of apps, right? Even on the desktop, you have $600 Omnispheres, and you have like $50 synths as well. And there's a bunch of free stuff on desktop, you know, just like on iOS. So I think we'll always still have that, even if our prices go up, like I said, even if they 4x, that's still half the price that they are on desktop. So
Yeah.
we'll have that plus still all of the free stuff and cheaper like smaller developers charging cheaper prices, because that's always traditionally how smaller developers have competed with larger developers, is on price, because that's the only thing they can really do.
Yeah, I mean,
See, I would rather them charge less and more people actually buy it and then support the iOS system, the ecosystem, but versus charging more and then nobody can really attain it, nobody can get to it. So then
well,
what's the
I
point?
won't say nobody.
Well, when I say nobody, I'm
Less
saying that in a
people.
broad spectrum.
Yeah. Less. Again, this is talking to these prices. This pricing trend is speaking to a smaller group of people who actually make their
Exactly.
they make their living, or they make their income from using these apps. That's a smaller group of people. So you sell 1,600 copies of this app in the first week, where you could have made maybe, how many people know about this app by now?
Yeah. They probably could have made more.
Yeah.
They're still trying to figure it out, I think, too, is what iPad Be Making said.
And not just make more, but more people are drawn to you now because your price is reasonable. So more people will use other apps that
or
you make.
digestible,
So
not
you
even
want to
reasonable,
follow.
digestible.
You
Yeah.
want a follower. You don't want somebody who's like, man, I ain't buying another one of them apps from them. They overpriced me on the last one.
And I don't want to make it seem like I'm picking on any app developer or anything.
No, it's
I'm
not.
just
It's not one person
yeah, it's not IK Multimedia or
for sure.
whoever. It's the culture of iOS is predicated on how much storage do I have, how much money do I have, and will I actually be able to use this?
Yep.
But to grow, you need that constructive criticism, and you never will grow if everybody's just praising you for everything you do. You gotta take those, man, this is awful, or man, this could be better, or man, this right. It's there's reasons behind it. It's not like we're saying it just because we don't like the company. I have products from them sitting all over my room here, so I obviously invested in them. I like them, but I just would think that a person would consider the platform. Really, like
Well,
I
yeah.
think that's what it boils down to.
And Damien in the chat says, I think that they would like this. I think they know that this price would scare the average amateur, so they're like trying to target a professional product. But again,
Absolutely.
like I was saying, there's going to be professional products and less professional products. But at the same time, Brandon, and we're all saying that you still have to read the room. $50 is still in the professional range when it comes to iOS.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
for sure. Like I said, I would gladly pay $100 for a Logic Pro.
Would you pay
But it has to behave
$200
like
I'd
Logic
honestly
Pro?
pay
Logic
200
Pro?
again.
Would I pay $200? Not
Would you
on
pay
iOS.
the Mac price for Logic Pro on iPad?
No.
If it was the same,
If
yes.
it behave, well, yes. If it
You see what I
behaves
mean?
exactly like Logic Pro,
Yeah.
yes.
So are we not
But-
getting a
but
steal,
then-
getting the same apps for a
But
quarter of the
then
price?
I have to let's weigh the gravity on this one though. Logic Pro is the DAW that also comes, again, this is why I hold GarageBand in such high esteem, is because it's Logic Pro Lite. Like somebody else just said that earlier. It's Logic Pro Lite, and it provides one of the dopest since Alchemy. With
Oh, it's
all
amazing.
the bells and whistles.
On the desktop.
And that's free.
Well, I find it better on the desktop, but I mean, when you bring it to the iOS system, they could revamp it. They
But
could
that's
honestly
also-
revamp it, and it would be great.
Revamping it would just be, I would say it would just be Logic.
But that's
Let
different economics too, Brandon. Like, Apple has to do that, to help sell iPads and stuff. So it's different from the average, like different from IK, but yeah, it's still a good point.
Yeah. And it's just it's a matter of, like you said, reading the room, considering your user. Don't turn into a Kai. And this is
Yeah.
this is
Just
I
read
want
the
to
room.
make sure that if they watch this, they have clarity on what does it mean when you say don't turn into a Kai. What can they take from that?
So Akai has a bunch of different instruments that do the same exact thing very well. And it doesn't seem like they're listening to the actual end user. You get your people who are excited about the new tech because it's new tech, and then they get it, and it's like, okay, well, this one does what this one does, but it's just smaller. Yeah, so I like that. You know, no new features, no.
Listen, it's always just software in a box. That's all it is.
Kind of
It's
reminds me of
software in a box
iPads in
with
a
some
way.
pads on it. Hey, but you know what? You get more use
I
out of
agree
an
with
iPad. You
that.
can use it for other stuff.
I agree.
With
No,
the MPC,
that was
you are
a
overusing it.
very great point. It reminds me of iPad in a way. Think about this. Think about for real. No, like think about what you just said. iPad releases or Apple releases another device every year, incremental changes, and charges astronomical prices. I get it. The technology is there. You've reached new heights in different battery performances, and
Plus, they got cheaper ones too, man.
yeah,
With the 14 chip. So
yeah, and all the other stuff becomes all the flagships of last week. Like everything that was just the greatest thing since, sliced bread just became obsolete.
Yeah.
And now you got to pay another $1,000 to have the absolute best. What if that happens in iOS and you're not getting the absolute best? Right now, in right now, the competition for iOS developers, they're really trying to innovate because the space is so new, and there's no real set place for anybody to say, well, we crown that. There's an app for this, there's an app for that. There's, you gotta think about, again, going back to the Akai, don't become Akai. And anybody without competition has no incentive to change. And because IK Multimedia is one of the only flagships to acknowledge the iOS community, I don't want this to become a
standard.
Pay us because we're the only ones doing it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's why I love these the smaller devs, because they actually set up a Discord and listen to you what you say, and they take it into account. And when you get somebody like an IK rep who steps in the room and you make a comment, they don't like it, they quickly shut it down. But it's like, no, you need to listen. That's the problem.
Importron.
Well, this is the same on desktop.
What do you mean when you say they shut it down? I just want to, in fairness, get
well,
clarity on that.
they try to justify the cost of something when you're trying to explain to them that, hey, the iOS cost, this is astronomical price, right? For what we pay on iOS for a typical instrument. This is like paying for a DAW, even though it's not a DAW. We get that. But my thing is
an
to hear
instrument,
that,
not a suite of instruments.
It's an instrument, right? And to hear that, if it hurts your feelings, then why are you making these products? Because you're supposed to listen and make it better. That's the whole part. You're supposed to grow. And if you're not about growing, then what are you doing?
On the flip side, though, I do agree that the developers do deserve their money.
Absolutely. The product is worthy, they deserve it.
Yes. If the product 100%. is giving what it's supposed to give, I will gladly pay.
I will pay too.
And this is just like to be fair, this is just like the desktop too, where there's bigger companies that listen less than smaller companies that listen more. And
this is why Apple gets my money, because they deliver every time. Yeah, it's the same iPad from last year, but yeah, this one has the newer whatever. It's delivering
more processor too.
It's a lot more consistent. It's not backtracking. It's not charging me for the name. It's actually some validity in this.
Well, they're always doubling everything: RAM, space, and speed.
Yeah, so it has to line up. And I think, again, I don't want to sound like I'm prematurely bashing the product or the app or whatever. I just came in maybe at a bad time. It just didn't sound there to me yet. it didn't wow me, I guess.
What I should have
What,
done is been
what
building
interface did
beats
you
with
run it
this, because
through?
I get a lot of inspiration to build beats from this, but I really wanted everyone to just hear roughly a couple of the sounds on it to kind of see how unique they
No, I
sounded.
get you. Yeah, I get it. I just I feel like with something like even let's say a Pure Synth Platinum, you hit a couple keys on that, you know that's different. You know it's different. Whether it's an individual sound or a layered sample preset, whatever, you know it's different. You've never heard this one before. Or if you heard it before, you ain't hear it like that. Like, whoa, that's with no effects.
Yeah.
That's the feeling I want for
See,
$70.
if I gave my money to a smaller dev, I feel even if the product wasn't where it should be, I still feel like I invested more into somebody who's working on it, right? Versus somebody who's not even listening and they just making all these big
Yeah.
products and then selling it at high cost so they can just make a corporation continue to grow. And I'm like, hey, I've already invested in you, so I don't mind, but give me something that's showing me that you that top dog so that I
Yeah,
can feel
yeah.
like I
That's
got my
like me
money back.
saying, coming out with a sample pack and saying, yeah, just buy it because I'm me, because I'm Brandon Rico. Like, how many people
Exactly
would
what
look
it's
at me
like.
like, Joker, who are you? Like, who cares? I'm not spending my money on that because you're you. They'll buy it because
Yeah.
it's undeniably something that they can actually use. You actually if you see it, you hear it, and you actually have an idea for it right then and there. Even just browsing through, like I like when I go through presets on desktop, because most of them hit. Most of them give me inspiration, but I just keep scrolling anyway, just in case, And a lot of times in iOS, and I hear it all the time, things sound flat. So I have to go digging and I have to go tweaking, which it can be fun. It can be time consuming, but it's just the culture of where we are now with stuff like this that has the presets. I'm not a preset guy. But if it sounds undeniably superior, for sure, I'll pay for it.
If you're gonna shock me with the price, shock me with the sound and the
Shock me with
quality
the
too.
sound the first go round.
Yeah, don't make me have to go search and figure out something to, and
Yeah,
don't make it
I
so
don't have to
hard for me
fit this
to.
into to my workflow.
I'm
Let me
paying you to
hear
work.
why. Yeah.
I'm paying you to work to figure out your stuff. It should be like right in my face.
Okay,
You don't
so
you don't buy a Lexus. You don't buy a Lexus and say, I don't feel like I'm floating on that across that pavement. You buy a Lexus because you know you're gonna float across it. And you paid that price because you know you looking good in that car, right? But you hit me with a $70 tag, and I'm like, now what am I gonna use this for again? I'm sorry, what did oh, I'm just supporting the devs? Okay. Well, I could have gave it to a
No,
little
and
person.
in some cases, I will support for the culture of it all. I will support for the culture of it all. Once again, IK Multimedia is probably really the only flagship that's hardcore acknowledged in iOS. So
For
kudos
sure.
for
That's why I
that.
have the sound card.
Like
And I have two of
I
their
will
other sound
support
cards.
for the culture of it all, but deliver too.
Yes.
Just on a
Deliver
final
to.
note too, AUV3 sample tank, please. Before I leave, guys,
Absolutely.
come on. If this gets sent to IK Multimedia, please. Sample tank AUV3, please. I invested in all the packs, and yet I can't really use the app because it's not part of my workflow because it's not AUV3. But yeah.
I'm with you on that.
All right, guys.
I
Well, hope
did
everybody
not
has a good
invest
night.
in
I
it.
got to
Maybe I
bounce.
would.
hold on,
I got to
hold
dip.
on
So
real
Yeah, I gotta
quick.
get
have a
out of
great
here though.
weekend.
I gotta ask you the question, Mobile Music Pro. How would you feel if they made a new sample tank where all your old in-app purchases are basically null and void for the new version with the AEV3? Are you buying it, and are you rebuying
Ooh.
all the in-app purchases
Oh, he's trying
if
to hit
that's
you.
what it took to get the AEV3 version of sample tank?
Well, first of all, that's a great question. I want to say that's a great question. You know what? I'd buy it all again. I
Yeah,
don't
do it for the
recommend it.
culture. Yeah.
I'd buy it all again, dude, because I just want sample tank so bad in AUV3, and I bought all the packs, and I like the packs. They're all really good, like those acoustic guitars. Damn, Like there's really, really good stuff in there, and you can tweak them with really easily with those 8 knobs. I mean, I'd buy it all again. I wouldn't recommend people do it, but I'd buy it all again.
And what would you pay
And I'm
for
feel the same
Sample
way about
Tank
Logic.
AUV3, the app? Would you pay 70? Would you pay 100, 150? What
Oh,
would
let's
you
see. So
give
I
them?
definitely pay 50 if it came with enough stuff, for sure. But I think that would probably be the max again for the iOS ecosystem that we are right now. That would have to be max before they would then be able to charge additional IAPs.
50 is a really good number. I don't think you should get above that unless you bring in something like,
Yeah, because 50
has
is
to be
just what's
something really
digestible right
special.
now. That's our max ceiling right now. I'm not saying that it's going to be like that forever, but right now that's the ceiling.
That's the impulse purchase where it stops for me, where I'm
Yep.
like, okay, now I gotta do more research.
Yep.
Usually I'm so serious, I will just buy apps just because.
All of us, man,
Yep.
do it.
But then I'll start asking questions. If it's $17 for a reverb, what does this reverb do outside of reverb?
Yeah.
I don't
It's
know.
got reverb. It's got freeze. It's got freeze, Brandon.
Yeah, that's some scary prices for just
All right, guys.
freezing.
Have a good night. Have a good
Yeah, I
weekend.
gotta go.
I'll see you
Hey,
guys
take
later.
care, Mobile Music.
Thanks for the conversation, iPad beat making.
All right, now,
Great
take care,
channel,
guys.
bro. And
Vortex,
great
Rico.
work.
It was good talking to you.
On desktop, are you buying these apps full price, or are you usually doing with the stock plugins?
I do a lot with. I'm gonna be honest with you. My whole thing is working with what I already have.
Right.
Hence, I have iPads. Right. I stream on my iPad. I make music on my iPad. I have this very old 2015 MacBook Pro that I don't think I'll ever upgrade. Even if I get an M1 device, it'll probably be an M1. I'm using what I already have. And the reason why I do that is because I before I started making money doing any of this stuff, before I started doing YouTube, before I started talking about my placements or my history or anything like that, nobody cared. Nobody cared to invest in the music producer. So I had to use what I already had. I had to make what I have in the room sound like what the guys have in the studio. So a lot of the times, to answer your question, that's a long answer. To answer your question, a lot of the times, yeah, I'm using stock. When I first bought Beatmaker 3, my first maybe 50 beats on Beatmaker 3 was all stock sounds, just to see what I could do. And I made some ones that were terrible, and I made some ones that were bangers. I even sold maybe a couple, right? But when you start exploring and relying on third-party things to get stuff done, you're playing a dangerous game, because you'll always be chasing that, that next big best thing, or the next gear, or the next,
that's a good point. That's a good point.
That I don't want to be in a position to where I feel like I need this in order to get this done. That's not, nah. iOS music production actually eliminates a lot of that. Again, and limitations create huge innovations. You got to be real crafty with what you do on iOS.
That's a fact.
And that craftiness actually translates over into when you start touching, the flagship DAWs, because you figured out the hard way on how to do it on iOS. Now you know the terminology. Now you know what a gate does, or now you know what sidechain compression is. Now you know what I mean? Like, all these terms because you had to go digging for it in an innovative situation, right? Or a limited situation. You had to get it done. So now when you touch the big boy stuff, you know exactly what you're looking at.
Definitely. Do you think iPad needs the Pro Tools, the Logics, the Abletons, or is it better like it is with just working with what we got?
as iPad OS, I had to learn how to stop trying to make, and I think I said that in a video too, but I had to learn how to stop trying to make iPad OS perform like desktop. Once you start doing that, you'll start to see a bigger picture. You'll start to understand that all of these apps are just the windows that you will pull up on your desktop. The only difference is you're pulling up instances of the app, whether they're inter-app purchases or inter-app audios, or you know, you're opening stuff up in Cubases, and they're all little mini workflows. So do I think that do I think that we need it? Nah, we got an app for that. There's you know, that's saying there's an app for that. We don't need it. Could we use it? Would it make life a lot easier? Yes, but we are not ready for it in terms of software. iPad OS is just not ready for it. iPad OS is iPad OS. It's not Mac OS. It's not going to handle it well. Even though the hardware is there, the processing power, it can handle it. It's the operating system. So let's go back to the question that you asked earlier. Are we ready for bigger brand names to come to iOS? Absolutely not. It can't handle it. But if you did the research, to make it work in iPad OS, I will gladly pay your asking price. Absolutely. So, yeah. I don't know if I answered the question.
Yeah. I'm just trying to really see, like, is there ever a future in iPad being a one-to-one counterpart with Mac, or is it always this specific type of workflow, and then we still need to hop on Macs for the final stages of doing certain things, or for the bigger sample libraries, or the more full-featured DAWs? You know what I'm saying?
I think that that kind of wordplay is very, and I'm guilty of it too. I think it's very taboo. I've finished a lot of things on iPad that was started on a MacBook, on desktop, or that was sent to me from a desktop situation, or Logic Pro, or Pro Tools and Reason and all that stuff. It was sent to me, and I opened it up and finished it on iPad, and nobody knew the difference.
Well, let me say what I mean.
Nobody.
Like, a big gap we got on iOS is like auto-tune right now, right? Mm-hmm. There's little versions of it, but there's just nothing like the desktop class version. It's really, really difficult to use auto-tune. What's the other one called? Melodyne, those kind of, you know, when you're really dealing with a professional scenario, professional meaning you're trying to cut a song and get it out, and you're going to need pitch correction in the process, dealing with different singers. That's one area in the DAW workflow, and in the, you know, just the whole recording process where it gets really messy. Whereas on desktop, it's real easy.
So the problem is that it's not impossible on iOS. It's very buggy because there's so many different versions of iOS now. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many different devices that can handle it differently. There's so many different on desktop. It's there've been more research done. People aren't really hip to developing for iOS just yet. And
very true.
Yeah, and you just get a different what's the word I'm looking for? You get a different level of care that goes into desktop than iOS. iOS is just like, all right, copy and paste it here and shrink it down so it can fit on an iPhone or an iPad.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, but you didn't really research the platform. And that's my problem with you know, apps like maybe Sampletron or whatever app.
Don't do it to them.
It's like, if you're gonna give me a carbon copy of the desktop, do take the time to make it lush, just like the desktop. Make it sound exactly like full like that. And don't water down the sounds because you wanna shave off time for downloading or shave off the download size, the app size for the sake of the Apple Store. Because I know Apple doesn't let you upload or ship certain apps with a certain size after.
They want you to download it after the fact, right? Like the gospel musician stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So you download the app and then you do the in-app downloading.
Right,
You can save
right,
it to
right.
your external drive and all that stuff. So if it's a case like that, then I will start paying more money for that. But if you're gonna ship it as is and let everything sound flat or thin, and people are already complaining about that, why add to the pool? And like that's why I said when I came into the live stream, what I heard just confirmed my question. Like, okay, hold on, 70. I don't know. I don't know if that's 70. I don't know.
It's
At
definitely
scale, at
niche no
scale.
matter what. It's for sure a niche thing. Even on desktop, I think it would still be a niche product. I think if it was somebody's only app, it'd be kind of like, whereas having the
Yeah.
complete would be a better investment, or getting the IK right now, buy one, get 20 free or whatever crazy promotion they're running, definitely a better investment than just getting the Sampletron alone.
Yeah. You probably better, like you said, just better off bundling it all. And in that way you can both support the developers as well as get some dope sounds and dope plugins. But when it comes to individual purchases, Johnny's not gonna put that on his iPad mini for Christmas.
That's a fact. I definitely don't think this is I would advise Johnny to. I would say Johnny needs to get Cubasis or Beatmaker 3 or Nano Studio 2, depending on Johnny's priorities. And
Yeah.
maybe Johnny needs to get
Or take some
Drambo.
time to shop around and use Alchemy and free GarageBand.
For
Shop
sure.
around and figure out what you like in iOS,
There
as
you go.
opposed to, oh, here's my favorite desktop. My cousin's got, IK multimedia stuff on desktop. Maybe that's the one I need.
It's a
Okay.
good point. It's a good point. There's a lot you can do and a lot you can learn with just the GarageBand app that comes with it, and you can get lost in there for sure. Just starting out,
Yeah.
really trying to play with the different sounds. It's got like Face ID recognition where you can modulate the sounds with how you turn your face or something like that. A lot of cool stuff that
Oh
I wish
man,
more apps would do.
that's crazy. I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
I might,
GarageBand is deep. Its workflow is just a little quirky for me. I wish it was a little more normal in certain areas, but
and
pretty
again,
cool.
this is why I said if Logic was to come to iPad, I think I'd pay. I would pay
You would
the
give them
200.
$200 again.
Yes.
Okay.
If it performs like Logic and not like GarageBand, I have to see a distinct difference. The difference between GarageBand on desktop and GarageBand. No. Logic on desktop and GarageBand on desktop. There's a distinct difference there.
For sure. For sure.
When you're dealing with the pro. When you've stepped into pro territory. I need to see that in iOS for me to justify, the full price on that.
Okay. And what about Complete? If Native Instruments tomorrow said, you know what, we're going to make Complete available for iOS, but we're not dropping the price on nothing. But you can run the sample libraries on externals like you can with gospel musicians. Would you feel that would be a worthwhile port and purchase on iOS?
That's a good question. Because, and the only reason I'm stumped on that one is because we already have so many competitors. I've been able to supplement that type of workflow.
Yep.
With UVI's Beathawk.
Yep.
That feels a lot like they I think they knew what they were doing to it. It feels a lot like the Contact player. Whatever I pull Beathawk up in, whether it's Cubases, Beatmaker 3, Zen Beats, Aria Pro, whatever I pull it up in, it feels a lot like a Contact library. And the sounds are not too far from it's not too far from it.
They're definitely really good sounds. Have you tried out a Decent Sampler?
No, I haven't.
Check out Decent Sampler and Piano Book. That might be the best Contact experience. Once you go through the pain of downloading all those sample libraries and getting them right, that's probably the closest to Contact we get on iOS, in my opinion. They got some really nice stuff.
Okay, I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah,
there's been a lot of app developers that approach me with the gimmicks and things that they want me to talk about, and it's just got to deliver. It's gotta be something that people actually want to see, and not just something that's cool and people will forget next week. So that's like Ben was saying, if $70 is the ticket, I want to feel like it's $70 worth of individual play, not all the presets. So yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, I think 50 would have been, I agree with y'all. I think 50 would have been a good price for this. I think they're still filling the market out, but I respect them for having the courage to port an app and say, you know what, this is what we charge it for it. Love it or don't, take it or leave it. The fact that we have access to it is pretty cool.
Yeah, respect all day to IK Multimedia. I mean, again, they're the only ones doing it. One of the only ones doing it, and they're really the only ones that's been acknowledging iPad musicians and iOS musicians for years now. So yeah, huge respect to IK Multimedia, and yeah, I think that $50 would have been a little bit more digestible and a little bit less shocking, to a point where some impulse purchases would have been made. And I don't know how they're doing right now, but because the iOS community is not the desktop community, that price might shock a few.
When you say that, you mean in terms of the stomach,
the cult
for those
following
kind of prices.
the cult following that may live in desktop users don't really look at prices anymore. They look at what their favorite producers are using.
Yeah, and they either crack the software or they pay full price without tripping.
Exactly. That determines their purchasing decision. Or like you said, they work hard enough to get it cracked. And since that's not the culture of iOS music production, we're not cracking any apps. We literally have to pay the money for it.
Yep.
And because your favorite producers may not be using iOS music production, then you're less inclined to pay for that. If you don't see Henny the Business, then that's just one of my favorites. If you don't see Henny the Business using, I don't know, sample tank or what is it, Sampletronic?
Sampletron, yeah.
I start asking questions at that point. If I don't see my favorite influencers using it, it's like, dang, why this though? So yeah, that's all I was saying. Just consider the room.
Definitely. Do you feel like FL Studio Mobile, them coming over and not really giving us the FL Studio aspect, do you think that that's good for the culture, or them saying, you know what, we're going to port the full version, but we're going to charge the full price? Or Reason Compact versus Reason? I
hate that you asked me that, because there is a whole community for that app. They live and die by that app. They swear it's the best thing. And Usually those users of FL Studio Mobile have not tried BeatMaker 3. And that's the weirdest part. They seen their favorite YouTuber using FL Studio Mobile that made a what are the kids saying? He made a slap. I don't know. Is that what the kids say?
Yeah, that's one of them.
He made a bop or something. You know what I mean? He made a banger. On FL Studio Mobile. So that's the one that I gotta have on my mobile device. And it's like, fam, there are other things that are greater. So when you say, image line, I don't even know if it's image line anymore,
I think it's image line still.
Yeah, when they came through and have stepped on that, there was a huge missed opportunity there. They could have been everything. I think they could have been everything BeatMaker 3 is and better. But again, you don't have people doing the research for how to get these things. And they probably have ideas and probably have so many plans for it in the future. It just, I don't know. I guess they're not talking to each other. I don't know why FL or Image Line didn't buy out BeatMaker 3 by now. I have no idea.
Exactly. Great point.
No idea. So yeah, if they could talk to each other and somehow partner, that would be the end all be all to me.
Have you seen?
They just half stepped.
Have you seen the Loopy Pro preview video?
No.
Just dropped today. I just want you to check this out at some point when you get time and see if you think that's going to be the iOS solution.
What is it?
Loopy Pro. I could pull it
Loopy
up. Loopy
Pro?
Yeah, Loopy Pro. It's hold on, let me try to find a link real quick. I'll drop it in the stream.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard of that one. I know Andrew Wang came out with an app that was actually pretty dope.
I think you're talking about the Flip joint.
The what?
I think it's Flip. Is it Flip?
Yeah, it was Flip. And yeah, for his first app coming, it's like he knew. I mean, he's a beat maker himself. He listened and he knew better what users wanted on the mobile platform than Image Line, who's been doing this for years. You should have known better, fam.
Yeah, people have been banging on Image Line, telling them get that AUV3 going. And
like, why is it not there?
They're trying to support Android. That's
that's what I was gonna say. That's what I was gonna say. When you try to please everybody, you end up pleasing nobody at all.
Yep.
When you try to reach a little bit of everybody, nobody's gonna like you. And that was my thing. Even with Rolly, they contemplated, and I think they used a lot of their research and money trying to figure out how to get to Android. And it's like, no, just it works here, capitalize here, and finish the work you started over here.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like
we'd have such a bigger user base if we got that Android base, and it's like,
oh my God. And it's like you're trying to please too many people when it actually works. And you could have killed the Bluetooth MIDI game. And like I said, when you dipping in this and dipping in that and dipping in this, you can't even focus on what's right in front of you. You can't capitalize on what's actually working. And I can't say that that's exactly what happened, but it's unfortunate that when something starts to work in iOS so well, it's just like it. Even with BeatMaker 3, sometimes I get frustrated because the frequency of updates are just not there as much as I would like. But when they finally do update, oh boy, they come with the heat, and that's because the community behind BeatMaker 3, the community behind the beta testers in there, amazing. Some really funny people in there, but they're amazing. They're very knowledgeable, and it's just a matter of time and research and development that people are willing to put into iOS. And then maybe it might be a thing with how much Apple are allowing. I don't know.
Yeah,
This is why I said.
I think that's a big part of it, because like the Nano Studio 2, it seems like every development gets stopped in its track over time, and I'm wondering if it's the economics of it, if it's the constantly expecting the users constantly expecting updates, but not really willing to
wanting to pay for it.
Right. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
then it's basically the developer gets demotivated. They're like, well, it's out, it's fine. And then,
I can see that. I can feel that. Especially with Beatmaker 3, because if Beatmaker 3, when I bought Beatmaker 3, I think it was like $45 maybe.
Right.
And that was a long time ago. That's like when it first came out.
17 maybe? Is it 17, 18?
Maybe 2017. Like yeah.
Oof.
17.
$40 went a long way.
Man, and it's listen, it's still making me money. And that's why if it happened again, if they come out with a Beatmaker 4 or Beatmaker Pro, I think I did a live stream about that. I would really want them to consider who's actually using a Beatmaker Pro versus a Beatmaker 3. Some people will still use Beatmaker 3 and that's all they need. Beatmaker Pro would have been a completely different platform. Everything that's in Beatmaker 3, but for somebody who's like a Drake. Imagine Drake pulling out his iPad and using Beatmaker 3 or J. Cole or somebody like that, using Beatmaker Pro to both do vocals in, to make the beat, to sequence it and everything. Imagine that. How many people would that convert? And how much better and faster would iOS music production go if that came to the surface? So for a
Beatmaker Pro,
put the tools there.
If
I would pay another 40 for it.
Okay, how about this? If they said, you know what, you guys want Beatmaker Pro, we're gonna add the features you want and keep the updates going. We want $20 a month subscription, no ownership. What would you do then?
Oh. That's a dangerous conversation. I'm not even going to comment on that. just for the sake of the community, I will get dragged. Oh yeah, no comment.
Okay. Fair
enough. That's very dangerous.
Beatmaker Pro for another $40.
Yeah, I don't like subscription-based anything, especially when it comes to creativity. Now I gotta pay you to be creative every month. Wow. That's I don't like Splice as much as I thought I would. Like unlimited access to, I mean, not unlimited, but they give you like a point system, but access to any sound that you want for just what is it, $8 a month or something like that?
It starts there,
That's like Google Play Music or YouTube Music. Unlimited access to everybody's catalog for a $13 a month. Unlimited access to every catalog in the world, as opposed to you used to have to buy the CD. You used to have to buy the CD if you wanted to listen to somebody's music. It's a gift and a curse, man.
It definitely is a gift and a curse. HBO Max got the Soprano movie out just straight up. I'm like, really? No movie theaters first? No buy it to DVD first? It's just there?
Yeah, man. It's just there. And that's like, oh, wow. Like, what a time to be alive. But at the same time, what type of deals did they have to strike with both the actors, the distribution companies, and how are they getting paid now?
That's a good question, because it becomes, big actors get a point system, just like, you know, music royalties with the theatrical release, and then when you just skip that and say we're gonna put it on the stream it, I think Scarlett
Man,
Johansson's trying to sue Disney behind that, as well as the Cruella
rightfully
girl.
so. Rightfully so. And this is that's why things can get real sticky when it comes to talking about monthly subscriptions for whew, because what if I get a placement using your monthly per subscription platform, and I didn't pay last month, so you know I don't have it. I don't have access to my session file. So the label is asking me for the session files and all that stuff, and I can't even open the app because I ain't even paid. I ain't even paid my $20 a month this month. You know, I got bills due, I got rent and all that stuff. But this opportunity could change my life, but I can't get to it because all I got is $17, and yeah. I think about all the people who've made placements and had like $4 in their bank account at one time, and they were using free or cracked software or whatever it was, and some of them had to go back and pay those those developers.
Yeah,
You made money off of our platform, and we need that. So the thing that could have changed their life is now on pause or took a huge dip because now I owe ImageLine money because I was using a cracked version of FL Studio. Or now I owe, you know what I mean? Like stuff like that, it's just, it sucks. So the subscription base, though I feel it would be worth it, it just wouldn't be worth it, if that makes sense.
Who suffers more in that equation? Is it the end user having to pay? If the end user could resume their subscription at any time, no harm, no foul, right? So say they did need to access that file for a major placement, the file's still sitting there. They just can't go in and edit it, but they could send it off, right?
Well, in the event where the label is like, well, do you have any more? Can you do it again? Can you make us another hit? If you can, if you can send us another 5 beats, we'll send.
I get what you're saying. You're saying you
$1
don't
million
like the concept
right,
of ever
now.
being locked out.
Right. There might. Wow. Echo, turn on my studio. My lights just went out.
Whoa.
No, yeah. I don't like the fact that even with YouTube, if YouTube was to pull the rug under a lot of these influencers and creators, there goes a whole stream of income. I don't like that. Including for myself. I don't like.
Oh,
the
you
fact
mean like
that,
demonetizing people and deplatforming people?
Yeah. And it's just very godlike to be able
very
to
much
have that control.
So is the solution
And what
for
if
us to build our own platform as artists, or how do we get around that?
Yes, I think that one of my goals for myself is to kind of continue to build a name and build a reputation around, like, with Beatmaker 3, if they continue to build that reputation for Intua when they come out with a desktop app, man, ooh, what would that look like? How many people would pay into that? So as artists, as individuals, I think we should take the same approach. Build your own reputation, and have your own website, have your own, you got fans, you got followers, you have supporters. Stay in touch with that community. Stay in touch with what people are saying to you, about you, with you. Be in touch. Be in, be in sync with who's supporting. And I feel like every entity should, kind of abide by those rules. Be in touch. If I'm supporting your platform, if I'm supporting your your goals and your dreams or your product, be in touch with me, be in tune, listen to what I'm saying. Acknowledge me.
Yep.
It would just be, it would suck. You know what I hate? I hate when I go live on my channel and I'm sitting here talking to myself, and it's like I can see the 30 or 16 people in the live chat, and I'm sitting here talking and I'm waiting on a response. You know what that feels like if I just sat here and just stared at you like this, or you just talk? That is so weird. And so for people to not be in tune with that, it's just
Right.
you know, to not interact in that way, whether it's, you know, Spectrasonics or Intua, or, you know, I don't know, Ford, or, you know, Lexus, for them to not listen to the end user, it's just, it doesn't make sense.
Definitely. Do you know if Intua is still active? Like, I see them
I
on
believe
social
so,
media,
man.
but is the app, do you know if it's still actively being developed?
So I keep in contact with, I haven't talked to a lot of them in a good long while. I haven't really talked to a lot of anybody in a while, but I do keep in contact with a few of the developers on the developers. I keep in contact with a lot of the beta testers on the beta team for BeatMaker 3. And they're always coming up with new ideas and bug fixes, and always like they do it like a job, and it's volunteer work. That's the craziest, most beautiful part about it to me, is that you got these very knowledgeable people who are doing it for the love of BeatMaker 3, and constantly they have a whole, I can't even talk about it because it is a beta. But they have a whole spreadsheet of just stuff to fix, stuff to revisit, stuff to add, or you know, and for that to be going on behind the scenes, and people still give it so much flack, or that, or any other app, any other development or whatever, people just don't know what goes on behind the scenes, which is why I said for IK Multimedia, I'm not mad at the price, but read the room. Read the room. You know, kind of be in tune. If you're gonna double play both sides, know both sides.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I definitely think they shut. I wonder what they know, right? Because they had the Hammond app, and they pricing it at $129. Only they really know
Oh, that
themselves,
Hammond
them
app
and
sounds
Apple.
amazing.
If they had a good turnout with that app, they must feel confident. They must feel like they are reading the room, because they got some kind of support at that 130 price point. They feel like the 70 is a steal.
And I agree. I'm once again, I'm not mad at the price, but the culture of iOS music production, especially during like you're just coming out of not even coming out of a pandemic. It's just like, damn, where did we go with the 70? You know, you start to get that threshold of, now I got to figure out, all right, well, what's today?
Right.
When do I get paid?
Right. You mapping this
How
purchase
much?
out.
Yeah, you making life decisions in the app store. Like, come on, man. I don't know.
For sure. So I gotta ask you, because I saw you using it in your stream the other day. Switcher, is that worth the subscription price in your opinion?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, every penny.
How come we can get behind the Switcher subscription, but it's difficult for the audio community subscriptions?
Because it directly connects you to your community. Stuff like this, man, like being able to talk to you like this, the way we are live, and have people be able to watch it live real time, and interact with us real time. That's golden, man. that's golden. We live in a digital time where everybody's always looking down at their phones and disconnected from each other. So any opportunity to connect back with people who actually agree or disagree, or, you know, have something to say to you specifically, personally, on a emotional, inspirational level, or whatever it is, that dialogue is golden. So I think any of the subscription apps for that connects people in a real way, not just social media like the Instagrams and the Facebooks and all that with me. And that's free. That's free.